Looks like we're good to go. Let's go open chat. All right. Hello and welcome everybody. Everybody tuning in a few moments. We are here at BlizzCon 2019. Day 2. It is, what is it, like 7 p.m.? 6 p.m.?
6:20.
6:20.
Yeah.
And we're essentially closing out. This is like, those are the last moments. People are leaving. People have all the gadgets with them. And they are saying goodbye.
Set.
Yes, the Descent. And a lot have happened this BlizzCon, and we decided to make a quick stream to summarize our feelings, memories, the happenings of the convention.
Yeah.
And if you guys have any questions, let us know. We'll probably do a small Q&A, talk about a few things. If you have anything, just ask it away, and we'll try to get to it. So, without further ado, Rhykker, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Like, it's kind of a stupid question, but what was your favorite thing?
Definitely the Hearthstone expansion.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That was a great one.
Absolutely.
Like, I couldn't even remember what it was all about. So I
It's the auto battler.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah, definitely. My favorite thing that I just exclusively went into the demo station, lined up time and again for that.
I think there was also a new WoW thingy. No, there was a new Diablo.
Well, there
thingy.
was the new Diablo Immortal beta demo. Yeah.
All right. So, how did you like the intro of the opening ceremony? Let's start there, right?
So, I missed. Okay.
No.
I'm live tweeting. Well, the countdown.
Yes.
The countdown.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they. You know what they did as they were counting down 5, 4, and they lingered on the 4. I didn't know that because I was tweeting at the time. Did you catch that?
I catch that one, yeah.
And did it flash red? Do you want to explain it for anyone who missed it? Because I had this explained to me. I was tweeting about J. Allen Brack's apology.
Yeah, see that's the thing about tweeting while watching the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
A lot of people are doing that one, and I guess for somebody with your following, it actually made sense. Probably a good reason why I shouldn't get much followers on Twitter, because I expect something like this then afterwards. No. So essentially, what was happening? What's the name of the CEO again?
J. Allen Brack.
J. Allen Brack.
To make the apology.
Exactly, and he was done, right? And then BlizzCon essentially started afterwards. So the countdown kind was 10, 9, 8, 7, and then it slowly paced down 6, 5, and then it turned slowly red, and then 4, and then it went black. And then in those 3 seconds, everybody actually realized why they stopped at 4. And then in those 3 seconds of delay, and then everybody just, I mean, you guys probably don't hear that one at home at the virtual ticket. There are some microphones in the crowd, but those are turned down like by a lot, right?
Yeah.
But people went nuts. I went nuts. The people next to me went nuts. So you're not sitting with us, you were sitting at the media. I know. You're sitting at the media area at the front right-hand side, right?
Yeah.
And we're actually sitting, like, I think everybody was sitting with us. Like, we did block out seats, we did reserve seats, which usually is not a thing. But people are actually very talkative. If you explain it to them, it's like, we're meeting once per year. Some people pay $2,000 per ticket. So it would be nice if we could sit together, right? So usually people move away, and reserving seats does work out. So yeah, all of us were sitting there. Literally everyone. Just
the shame.
But you enjoyed it, right?
I sometimes wish I can just go as a fan and give my full focus, but I'm there as a journalist first and foremost. So I honestly, later that night, I went back, I watched the whole trailer again from the hotel, and it hit me even more emotionally and impactfully because I was able to just fully absorb it as a fan this time. But even the first time around, it blew me away. But you just hit upon something before that I think a lot of people miss out on. It's great that it's live streamed. It's great that people can get to see all the panels we see, but the feeling of the energy in the crowd.
Yes.
That is something that cannot be conveyed through a stream.
I really can't. Like that is a true BlizzCon experience right there, right?
Yes, exactly.
And I mean, it always sounds weird to say like a game releases and you're emotional about it, but some people actually were heavily emotional about that one.
People were in tears, right?
Yeah, they were. Like maybe a little SVR was in tears. We'll never find out though. Like it's just a rumor, right? It's just got leaked. Right, and some other people, exactly. But yeah, it was a very emotional moment, and I mean, obviously, probably my favorite favorite moment. It's also like that's kind of a personal thing. I knew at this point that I had a stream. I just wasn't aware which game. I had no clue. And Brandy was so Brandy, that's our community manager, never list this. She was sitting like 2 seats to my right. And after the trailer ran through, right, and everybody was just, what the fuck? I turned around to like Brandy. I'm like, Brandy, am I streaming Diablo 4? She goes, yeah, you're streaming Diablo 4. And then I had a total meltdown. I had a total meltdown. I didn't see that one coming. I was certain I would do Immortal or something, right? So that was a good moment. I enjoyed it a lot. And then I actually went ahead and streamed Diablo 4, so that was pretty good. And who was sitting next to me while I was streaming Diablo 4?
Leviathan.
And who was sitting next to me?
A little further away, yes. Yep.
Yeah. And you actually had a very important guest during that stream, right?
I did, yes. It was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah.
I heard that maybe someone would come up.
Yeah, the funny part is we were actually talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I'll have a guest. It's Leviathan. And Rhykker was like, I don't have a guest. No, it's all good. You don't need to add a second. It's all good, guys. We don't need a second microphone. And then suddenly David Kim shows up, and he's like, okay, I guess I have a guest. So you didn't know that actually David Kim was your guest?
No.
You found out while being live?
Yeah, well, so I know who David Kim is. I was told that I might be getting a dev to come up, but nothing was confirmed or set in stone. So I figured, okay, well, we'll be open to it, receptive to it. The one thing, though, when I was setting up, I tested out both mics. I was checking the levels. I noticed one mic was distinctly louder. I was peaking on the one mic, so I put that one aside, and I'm like, well, I'm going to get the good one. Then David Kim comes. He's soft-spoken, but he's distinctly louder than me.
Yeah.
So he has, and so the mics are plugged into this audio interface.
Yes.
And
it's actually a fairly professional setup.
Very. They added labels saying, do not touch. Like, we weren't allowed to adjust the meters. But I'm like, but he's so loud. And like Chad is complaining. So he ended up just moving the mic further from his mouth, and it kind of worked out.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was my first time meeting David Kim. I've known about the guy for years.
So you never actually spoke with him?
Never spoke with him before.
Oh.
No,
okay.
So we had a very pleasant conversation. He answered a lot of questions. Chad gave us a lot of good questions to ask. Some repetitive questions, but
sure.
That's what happens when people come in, an hour in. They don't know what questions have already been asked. But yeah, and Reddit was kind enough to
summarize everything, right?
Exactly. So
yeah, Reddit has that like community hive mind work mindset where everybody contributes, right? And there's like a nice collective. So now for that one, Reddit is great. Reddit. One issue is though, like there's no archive mode, right? Things just fall off.
That's right.
It's like even like all my in-depth analysis posts, at some point those are gone, right?
Yeah.
And people will not have access to them anymore. But there is no real solution to this one. It's just a problem, right? So, but it's nice that the community is like helping out and doing their part, right? So it's always cool.
Yeah.
So, David Kim.
Yes.
And like, if you would like summarize the topics that you talked about.
There was so much.
Yeah.
Honestly, so
the most important one to you. Which
man.
one was the most important one to you?
Well, first off, I think what I liked the most was he seemed genuinely desiring for feedback from the community. He stressed multiple times that this system isn't finalized and we want to hear what you think. So at the end I asked, okay, well, what's the best way to sort of pass that feedback along? And I thought he was going to say like either the forums or something, but he sort of implied influencers, like that we should be collecting feedback from our communities and putting that forth.
I had the exact same feeling, and exactly like the exact same conclusion when talking to the devs.
It's so that they can then blame us for not properly communicating the
sure
feedback
it's
to them
like
when the game doesn't have what people want.
The fun part is, so I felt exactly the same way. So I actually took one dev, a dev that actually he worked on D3 right from the get-go, and he's also working on D4 right from the get-go. So he's been in both development cycles, both D3 and D4, right? And I kind of asked him, so to me it seems like in comparison to D3, you guys are like really open-minded. You really want to know what we think. You really want to give us what we want, right? At least you're trying to. That is my feeling. Do you feel the same way internally? Since you have both perspectives. And he said, totally. Like he said, essentially D3 was like a closed session to most parts, like shut the doors and get to the whiteboard and think about what we like, and then that's what they like, and then we double it, right? Because that's what they like, and that's what happened, right? And it definitely feels entirely different on D4, and I think everybody can be happy about that one, right? That's some really good news. really, really looking forward to the next couple of months or years, right? Will take quite some time. There's a lot of stuff to do, and I guess from that on, like, what do you feel is like the biggest issue of D4 right now?
Okay.
I know,
So-
easy one, right?
Yeah. I'll preface this by quickly saying that I think what they absolutely nailed was the nostalgia, the dark themes, all that I'm no concern about.
Okay.
The gameplay itself, overall good, but there's room for improvement. And as with D3, the first demo you see versus what actually launches, the game evolves tremendously. I'm a little concerned. I think one of my major concerns is the simplification of the itemization stats.
Okay.
So, like, I'm not in principle opposed to, I guess, maybe desiring, like, turning things into just offense and defense, but, like, was there no more attack speed, for instance? Like, that's a
There
little
was
bit
attack speed.
There was?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I
Okay.
found attack speed.
So,
A bit too high values, though.
okay.
So it felt like D3, when you know the one patch where you logged in and all attack speed items got nerfed.
Right.
Attack speed on rings was like 9%
Yes.
in vanilla, and then they nerfed it like overnight without
Right.
like communicating it. It was like the first big cry out of the community, where
Okay.
people lost actually several €100, worth of money.
Right,
obviously.
because the real money auction house
Yeah.
at the time. Yeah. But so D3 was a simplification of the itemization system over D2. I expected D4 to actually take a little step back and get more deep. Maybe I didn't pay enough attention, but it's seeming like this is getting even more simplified, but maybe it's that they need to just add more stats. Like, it might be that I'm okay with condensing certain things together as long as there's other things to replace. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, first of all, I think it's quite impressive that Rhykker of all people is asking for more complexity. No offense,
That's
right?
fine.
No offense. So so if you feel there is an issue, that's actually my main issue as well. I feel right now things are powerful designs, but it's lazy design. And I think the best example is runewords. So if you guys don't know, we do have runewords. They're actually back. But what they don't tell you, it's actually not really runewords that we get. What you have is the first set of runes, which is the condition. That's how they called it. And the second one, which is the effect. And you can pick a condition like when you drink your potion. And then you connect this one, rune words, to one of the effects. And one effect can be you gain 50% critical hit chance for 7 seconds. And let me just say, all those effects, they are very powerful. So we will have to play them. We'll actually have to equip them. There's no way around them in the current iteration. It's powerful design. We'll use them because we have to. But, and here's the but, it's lazy design. I don't like this. I mean, conditions are a strong mechanic, right, to play around. However, it's kind of a misuse of runewords, I feel. We know from a different ARPG that has similar mechanics, right? Like if you play a 2-link in PoE with cast when something, and then something else is triggered. It's essentially a 2-link rune word with cast on something. So if we would get multiple sockets with multiple effects, I think right now it's very shallow, right? I'd like it to be more in depth, and I think runewords is definitely a way where we can add a lot of depth and customization and theory crafting. That's what I'm looking for into the game. So my major feedback is don't be afraid of complexity. And when I say complexity, I don't mean like technical complexity, like what's the breakpoint and how do I min-max this and all that stuff. It's more about complexity and decision making.
Yes.
Right. So,
Yeah.
and I want that one, and apparently you as well. So that was your main issue so far.
I think that's what was before you even brought that up. I was actually going to bring it up, so I suppose it is, yeah. But I can peruse a bit more to see. I know that overall I like the answers that he gave me. There were a couple instances where I was like, ew, okay.
Oh, dodgy, right? Dodgy. I remember you were also at the media interview with Joey
Yes.
Shelley. So overall,
Yes.
so we had the media interview. That was actually after the first panel. The first panel?
Yeah, we didn't get. Yeah.
No, opening ceremony.
Opening ceremony. First panel.
First panel.
Interview.
Yes, interview, exactly. So on day one, we had the group media interview. Essentially, you get some representatives of the team, and we had Tiffany Watts, and Joey Shelley. Tiffany is senior producer, I believe, and Joey is lead game designer. And they did a tremendous job. It was a really nice interview overall, right?
Yeah.
So we had some really good questions. I felt like the discussion or the questions mainly got carried by influencers, right? Like a lot of people were streamers, YouTubers, a couple of fan sites, and a couple of questions from like big journalism sites, I guess. But overall, I felt like the main carrying discussions were aimed at game design, right? So Joey had to answer the most things by far. They did a good job. They did a really, really, really good job on that end. But, and here's the but, on a couple of questions, you can definitely see a very diplomatic behavior in giving no answer while giving an answer.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Some evasive answers.
Yes.
That's why I felt like David Kim felt very genuine. He didn't seem like he was being guarded in what he was saying. I mean, he didn't divulge any secrets or anything, but like, and not to say that they were not being genuine, but when they have these things, they're coached. They're coached to answer certain things, to avoid certain discussions. I mean, it's normal, you know, they need to be prepared. They can't just accidentally let things slip. But that was one thing I really liked. I appreciated David Kim's candor, and he wasn't afraid to, like, he himself brought up Lost Ark, for instance. Normally, or at least it seems like it's taboo to bring up other games, for a developer to bring up competition, but he brought up Lost Ark. You know,
so he was super open about everything?
It felt that way.
That's interesting. That's a good thing. I didn't expect that one to happen, actually.
One thing I might be remembering this wrong, but I thought I heard him say that there would be some way to improve runes or rune words. I might have misunderstood him.
That is something that I didn't know yet. We'll probably have to check up on your VOD to actually see how you worded that, because that is fairly important to the previous critic one that we have, right? So if that gets debunked, if there's like a super ridiculously in-depth system to tweak your runes into specific directions, but it's still 2 sockets, it could be enough. It could be enough in terms of complexity. So that's good to know that they are, I mean, we'll have to check your VOD on that end. Is there, like when it comes to endgame, did you talk about endgame on your stream?
Yeah, sort of. So he's most excited about seasons and he wants to change the meta every season, David Kim. And part of that is going to be new legendaries. I think this is a little, I'm hesitating because I think it's redundant with some of the info we learned today. But basically,
I mean, most of the viewers will probably not know the info from today yet.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, so he wants to shake up the meta every season. So I guess that's, I mean, in one sense it's endgame, in one sense it's not, I suppose. But outside of that, I don't think he discussed too much what endgame things there will be besides the key system. How you can turn, you know, it's similar to mapping in PoE, right?
It's very similar to mapping in PoE. I was actually talking to Zizaran about this one, right? I think everybody knows Zizaran. If you don't know Zizaran, just tune in to PoE at any random time, and he's probably streaming. Because he's streaming, I mean, you have a higher chance to hit him than to not hit him. Like, he's always online, essentially, and that man is crazy in terms of hours. Extremely dedicated, and he was here. He was actually invited from the Diablo free team.
Awesome.
That happened on day 0, essentially, so the day before BlizzCon. At badge pickup, I met Zizaran, and I actually asked him, so why are you here? What are you doing? And he said, yeah, 3 weeks ago, the Diablo publishing team contacted me, and they just invited me. He didn't stream. He didn't get a stream slot, but he was here to be converted.
Okay.
I guess. I'm not sure it worked so far. I mean, is this here somewhere? Would be funny, right? But I know he's not here.
Did you hear his feedback on the demo?
I did. He has very strong opinions.
Okay.
It would be best if he would be here right now to answer that one. I don't want to lay words into his mouth, and he'll probably make a video or something, right?
Okay. That's fair.
But he got invited for that one, and he essentially said, from his point of view, it's like PoE mapping. It's very similar to PoE mapping, but to this, PoE mapping is not endgame. And for him, it's core game.
Okay.
Unless, like, You know, unless you repeatedly run like a T15 map that you farm all the time.
So then what is endgame in PoE?
Delving right now for the most part, right?
Okay.
Or like the league mechanic usually is endgame for that specific league.
Okay.
That's what is usually considered as endgame nowadays, at least. It's definitely far in the game mapping. Like you know, if you go up to T15, T16s, you're not yet endgame. But very often you set up for a way to farm your league mechanic very well, and that would be endgame.
Okay.
So, at least to most people. So we'll have to see how it ends up to be in Diablo 4. But I do agree that the end game system that we saw does not feel end game to me. Right? I don't feel that that's end game. For me, that's core game right now.
Okay.
That's a main critique point for me. But and that's one thing. The usual answer that I got was, yeah, it's one end game system that we presented.
Right.
One. There are multiple in the works, so stay tuned for more information. We'll have to see. I'm happy with what we got so far on that end. There's still more potential and more end game to come.
What I found interesting is what we learned today, that the different dungeons are going to have different objectives, which could affect the pace of play. So it's not just like a rift, like you're always just speeding through or, you know, what have you to get all the kills. I mean, obviously you're still going to be killing things, but the way, you know, seeing that little lightning tower follow you around to zap you was
that's
a
actually,
cute little
that's
thing.
my favorite skill from Wizard.
Yeah?
Yes, it is. The little lightning spear.
Oh, no, I meant... Okay, so first up, yes, that is awesome.
Yeah.
I meant the dungeon affix or whatever, like the key that, as a penalty,
that's what they
that
showed.
totem that comes and chases the player.
Yeah, I didn't like that one too much. You thought that was hilarious?
I thought it was funny.
Okay, you thought it was funny.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be fun or not,
Alright,
but
so
I thought it was
yeah.
amusing
So what
to see this.
Yeah, what happened essentially is, when you open a keystone, you get like several debuffs essentially on the map or in the dungeon. And one of them was like a totem that was slowly paced following you, and it would attack you once it reaches you, and it does a lot of damage. It reminds me of the horror movie you talked about.
It follows. Yes.
Yes. Is that it? Wow, we've come a full circle here. Yeah. I'm not sure a lot of viewers will get that one, but we had
excellent horror movie. It Follows. Check it out.
I was told I should check it out, but man. Yeah.
Oh man.
We actually had a good question from chat. It was, is identification gone from D4? It is.
It is.
It is.
Okay, that's confirmed. It wasn't just in our demo.
Okay. That's true. So there is no identification in our demo. I don't think anyone asked that question. I'll ask it tonight.
Okay.
We'll actually meet a couple of them tonight, right? Yeah, if you have any questions for the Diablo 4 devs, if you have any questions right now, post them in chat and we'll try to get it to them tonight. We'll actually meet them. There's no guarantee you'll get an answer because for all we know, we show up and we immediately get drinks in our hands and start playing some ridiculous games. So there's actually
Crimes Against Humanity.
Yeah, there's a good chance that we might actually not get to ask those questions because everybody's already drunk when we show up. But we'll see. We'll see.
But so let's say there's no identification anymore.
Yes.
What is your thought on that?
Great. Less
it's
wasting.
Unnecessary, right?
Yeah, I mean Deckard is gone. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a good thing overall.
So, my understanding is identification is a relic of the roots of Diablo, which is Dungeons and Dragons, where you get a magic item and you need to identify it by acquiring a scroll of Identify or a spellcaster that can cast the spell. So Diablo 1, you'd have to get those scrolls of Identify. Same with Diablo 2, but then they added in Deckard Cain to do it for free. And then in Diablo 3, then you can do it yourself for free. Why do we still have this?
It died over time, essentially, right?
It did.
Do you remember in Vanilla when we actually had to single identify every yellow? You remember that one?
I do.
Does chat remember? Does chat remember that one? I think everybody. Wasted so much time of my life just right-clicking items and waiting, literally waiting for nothing, just for some effect of and it was never It was all the time
There was a design philosophy though behind retaining identification. So that's one thing why I wonder, are they actually going to phase it out or not? And at least for Diablo 3, they said that they want it to be like opening a gift. That little moment of excitement as you unwrap it, those few seconds without spending your channeling to identify, they want that to feel like building the anticipation. The problem is when most of the items are garbage, it's not a good feeling.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's another
exactly.
ugly Christmas sweater.
Exactly.
Oh, socks.
Yeah.
You know?
Unless it's like a running gag in the family, you know. Then
Yes,
some
right.
families have like this garbage present contest, right? And somehow always my sister manages to win when she gives me the present.
Okay.
She's really impressive on that end. Thanks, sis. You rock. Not. But I get it. Yeah, I agree. So, and then we got mass ID, right? At some point we got mass ID, and now we have no ID. Personally, I'm happy with it. I'm sure there's this one guy on the forums that complains about it because it somehow breaks the immersion of the game.
Oh, yes.
And it's now everything is WoW because there's no identification in the game anymore. But as far as we can
makes sense
tell,
for us to be able to turn into an Archon, but not to instantly know what a magic item is.
exactly.
That is too far,
That's
man.
too far. It's like
We can kill Diablo, but we're too dumb to know this magic item
exactly.
is.
I mean, like there are literally those people around, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, what can
Yeah.
you do? We had another really good question, and I think I lost that one. I think I kind of lost that one. Hey, do you mind writing down a couple of questions?
Yeah.
The questions that we write down right now, we don't have the answers for those ones, but we might get them tonight when we meet them.
All right, I'm gonna
because
tweet
tonight is the last chance, right? All right. One is the console version going to be the same as the PC one? We don't know the answer for that one.
Correct. We do know that crossplay is probably not going to happen, though.
Yep.
So
I'll post the questions and the answers on my Discord later.
well, when we say the same, do we mean like for Diablo 3 it's not the same?
Oh,
They have to change it.
I
to
think
fit.
what he means is probably, so if it's the same, then we could have like crossplay enabled for certain activities, which is when you zoom into like the boss fight that is like instanced, then would it really matter if it has to be only PC players? Maybe not. You're not really communicating with those guys, right? It just randomly happens.
But like right now, crossplay between PC and console for D3, it just wouldn't work because there's different mechanics on console.
Yes, and you have also the issues of like different
Nephilim
systems.
Valor.
Like different systems in terms of like hardware systems, right? Like the Sony network is completely shut off, for instance, right? There's no way you can get into that one. So there are those issues, right? Hardware limitations, maybe, just maybe. But nowadays, like, you know, everything is a computer nowadays, so
Yeah.
like when even your fridge can order like something off Amazon for you, right? And when even your toaster can get hacked to actually burn down your house. So everything is a computer nowadays, right? So maybe that works. We'll see.
Maybe,
We'll
yeah.
see. But I think the question was actually if there will be differences between those two. So that's the first one I'll ask. All right, let's move on about our own experience before we continue with a couple of questions. So after the group interview,
Yes.
what did we do?
What do we do after the group interview?
We definitely went to eat something, and then I think I played in the media section, like in the media demo section. I played a couple of times.
Okay.
And then then we went streaming. Yeah,
Yes,
after we went
yes.
streaming at the same time, and then
Right,
David Camp
yes.
happened. Right?
Yes,
and then
that happened,
we had
okay.
that one, and that was actually day one.
When do we eat all those brownies?
When we ate, all right, he ate one brownie, I ate 6, maybe, I don't know.
And then I took one off your
Yeah,
plate.
and then you took one off my plate because I couldn't take it anymore.
I carried the burden.
Yeah, exactly. It was like one could say, all right, how does the line go? Jesus, I ate so much I couldn't take another bite. Yes. It sounds like you ate too much. Yeah, exactly. And you take one off my plate. That's
Being
true.
immortal is very complicated.
I don't know.
I
dude.
forget if it was difficult or complicated.
Yeah, it's one of those two.
Did you think, okay, when we were seeing that cinematic, did you have a moment where you thought that was Tyrael?
That was not Tyrael?
Tyrael?
That was not Tyrael?
That was not Tyrael.
What? Well, you know how much I care for lore. Like, not at all. Wait, the cinematic is not Tyrael?
That's not Tyrael. The voice is completely different.
Wow, I'm a professional. I'm a professional right there.
Well, a lot of people thought at first glance that it was Tyrael.
I mean, it was Tyrael, right? It was not.
It was definitely Tyrael.
It was Tyrael.
Definitely Tyrael.
Oh, rip me.
He hasn't aged a day in the past 40 years.
I think, you know, I always ask myself how I actually got the invite and the media badge, right?
No.
Like, if those guys that actually do the lore, if they see this, that's it. I'm done.
They understand that different people like different aspects of the game. And
Yeah.
they wanna, it really feels like they're trying to make everyone happy. And I think on the lore, on the nostalgia, the feeling, that side, I think they're executing very well. I don't think there's anything negative I could say in that regard.
Right. Yeah. Good point. I tried to just make a meme, but thanks for resolving that one. That's true. I'll actually probably be here at some point. Hopefully. But so it wasn't Tyrael.
No.
I mean, that was kind of misleading. Like for people that suck at lore, it was kind of misleading.
A little.
They could have just maybe give him like a beer or something.
I guess the fact that a lot of people, well, so I can tell you're not the only one that thought it was Tyrael. I saw YouTube comments being like saying that it was Tyrael.
Oh, that's even worse. Now you call me a YouTube comment.
But I mean, even like a lot of us, at least at first, thought like, "Oh, is that Tyrael?" And then we hear his voice, it's like, "That's not Tyrael." So no, I think it's fair to say that it was at least misleading. Yeah.
Okay. So who was it then? We don't know.
Just some rando. Actually, the guy with the eye patch looked like Beric from, I think his name is Beric from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he did. I was thinking the same thing,
yeah.
but I couldn't say it. I just couldn't say it. Like, can you imagine like somebody in the crowd if you would have made like a reference and then everybody laughs?
The Lord of Light.
Yes, exactly. Like, if somebody would have said that one, like Lord of Light. Jesus, man. I think the audience would have died.
Oh man.
And there was one peculiar thing that happened only in Mythic D.
Oh yes.
Yes, and nobody else knows, right?
Right.
Only people in Mythic D know what happened. In all the other stages, nothing happened. Like everything was okay.
We got a special show.
We got a special
very
thing.
Special show.
So in Mythic D, that's the Mythic stage, right? It's the
main stage.
The main
that everyone
stage.
dies to get into.
Yes. And we
lineups
were there
for hours.
Yes, lineups for hours.
To
literally.
Experience this.
Yes. And what happens during the D4 reveal trailer? We get a black screen in the middle of the trailer for like
right as the action kicks up and heads are going to start rolling.
Yes. Right then. Like, I'm not sure what exactly happened there. We only heard the sound. And we had a black screen.
So we know that one hall was meant to be the kiddie hall, where they would have a censored version.
Oh, really?
I think they screwed up the wire. They crossed the wires somehow.
Oh.
And the part that was hidden to us was the censored part. And they accidentally did something in our hall where they weren't supposed to. Because it was like right where the violent action was starting, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Right when, heads were being chopped off, that's when that actually makes a lot of sense now. So it's not a real significant screw up, as in somebody, it's actually a reasonable screw up.
Yeah,
right?
I mean...
Because it was just the wrong stage. Right?
Yeah. I imagine whatever they were shown and whatever they were meant to be shown as the censored version wasn't what we saw, because it wasn't just a black screen. It was like when you're mirroring OBS and OBS, and it's just like an infinity mirror of screens in each other. I don't think that's what they meant to show. Probably some splash screen or like some censored message or something. But I'm sure a lot of people were upset about that, especially on the production side.
We'll see, because if heads will roll because we didn't see heads roll.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that was like the summary of day one, right? That was all of it. Didn't we do anything in the evening? Oh no, we didn't. Did we?
Yeah, so we played Cards Against Humanity.
No, that was first day. That was first day.
That was
oh, we had the mixer.
We did, yes.
We had the community mixer,
yes,
so
right.
That was a good one. So the community mixer is usually that a lot of streamers and who else, like commentators, hosts, like essentially community public figures of the community get invited to a hangout at a local place, right? And we get to drink, we get to eat. I think it is not a must attendance, mandatory attendance for Blizz employees, is it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so as well, right? But a lot of them are actually showing up, and they are quite talkative. Usually that mixer happens before BlizzCon, right?
Right.
Which means there's still a lot of secrecy, and they can't speak freely. So this year was the first time ever that they moved it to Friday evening, which means it starts later. You're gone for the mixer longer, you get less sleep, but you get to talk about everything.
Right.
And I learned a lot that day, especially about Diablo 3 and the PTR. I was talking very intensively with the D3 team, the remaining people, and there's a bit of news to share here.
Okay.
Did you check anything for D3 actually?
I didn't. I heard
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
But
What
I'll
did,
let you.
I mean, sure. Go ahead. What did you hear?
I heard that they modified the sets, the new sets.
Yes,
and
they
now
did.
they're not garbage.
Yes. I mean, so yes, the monk set, for instance, we have damage mitigation now in the monk set, and a really, really, really smart damage increase on the 6 piece.
Really smart.
Yeah, that was
You
my
seem
way
unenthused.
of. They added a 0.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Crusader, 2 pieces actually kind of reworked. There's a separate multiplier on the 2 piece now.
Okay.
I think it's 300% as a separate multiplier now. I'm not exactly how it works and reads, but the rest is essentially the same. And the 6 piece got another buff. The double, it's the 6 piece. They J Wilson. Yeah. So, you know, very. I mean, they only.
Jay Wilson's like not worked for Blizzard for the longest
Yeah,
time.
I know.
Just imagine he's like,
I know. You know how often we use that meme all the time? Like at BlizzCon, we use that meme all the time.
At least it's not a mean-spirited meme, right?
Oh, what you like at that one?
Hey.
Hello.
What's up?
All right. Dude, come in, man. You can take the spot to my left. All right. Can you stand up for a sec? And we'll have to move it closer. No, you need to push. All right, let's go.
Cool.
So, can you open chat in your phone? Because my
I got you.
All right, nice. So we got Leviathan in here now. We just wrapped up like day 1.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to like summarize, what was your favorite thing on day 1? Not as if it would be obvious.
Was there anything really that got announced on day 1?
Hey, we did the same game.
Oh.
We actually did the same
Is this
game.
getting old?
No, it's actually getting old.
Oh,
It's
no. So unoriginal.
Yeah, it's almost like we scripted it, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
hey, come in now. Do it now. Do the bit now.
yeah, yes, exactly.
But no, I mean, of course, like D4
Yeah.
was, the crowning cake, cream, ice cream, everything. I'm so excited that we finally have it. If not just for being able to stop having that question in the back of our heads or at the
I
forefront.
mean, we
of our
always
minds,
knew eventually, right? They're not just gonna end with it. It's like, we should probably not do another game of that one, of a very good sequel.
We don't want money.
Nah, money, especially American companies. So like money. Nah.
What are you trying to say? Americans are greedy or something? Actually, I have to fund my country. You got a Canadian, got a German.
I saw deodorant for $6 in a CVS.
Wait, here though?
Yeah.
This is a tourist city though. Like
Yeah.
it's the
$6.
I'm not justifying it. I think it's outrageous too. But
Excuse me.
that's basically the prices we pay in Canada though. To be fair.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, back to day 1.
Okay, yes. But honestly, the gamut, like the entirety of the opening ceremony, I thought was really well done. I don't know if you guys have touched the very, very first thing that Brack talked about, but I thought him dealing with the Hong Kong stuff
Okay.
was really important because it would have left a bit of a pall in the air, like the elephant in the room, if there was nothing said about it, right? And they very well could have gone that route and just say, we're not going to touch anything negative. We're just all here for announcements, and maybe that'll carry, and everyone will just forget that, prior a couple of weeks there was some stuff going on. So I thought that it was good he did it, and the way that he did it I thought was very tasteful, in that it felt like it was humanizing Blizzard again.
Yes.
So it brought us back
Yes.
to being a family. I was telling Wyatt, I was like, I felt like we're in a relationship together, and they kind of broke our hearts a little bit. Like, they went out, we found some glitter in their pocket or something. It's like, did you go to the strip club? Like, what happened here? Like, you did a bad thing.
Oh,
And now
that's awfully specific, right? It's like,
oh wait, I didn't know we were telling our own personal anecdotes
But,
here.
yeah, continue. I get the point. Like conceptually, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. But just, I think it was important to reestablish that, especially at BlizzCon in particular, so many people come here for so many different reasons, but ideally it's because we all believe in this common bond that we all share through these games, right? And a lot of people will play games to escape more dire situations in life, or just to honestly have fun. People are making careers out of it, obviously. There's so much that can be done with it, and I just hope that Blizzard understands their importance in that. And for them to remain like a well-regarded company is important because it also reflects on, you know, the people that engage with them are going to hopefully have good relationships with them. And then even if you're not on that level, just wanting to be a fan of theirs. Like it's really tough when you see like your favorite actress or celebrity or whatever, you know, go through a scandal or something, and it kind of gets to that level too. So in any case, long story short, I'm just glad that they said something instead of nothing. And then we were just able to like go forward and be happy from there.
All right, so for you, it was really like a case closed scenario afterwards.
I still feel there will be, you know, some tensions,
Okay.
and there are like the people who truly care about it. I'm sure it's not a closed case for them yet,
Okay.
right? I think there will
get
be continued conversations.
But it was a step in the right direction.
Yes, yeah, I'll definitely say
Like,
that.
would you say a leap? Personally, to me, it felt like a leap overall, especially the part where, like, it felt true.
Yeah. Well, think about this. They said sorry. Literally.
Yeah,
words.
that's true.
Apologize.
Yeah, they
Sorry,
actually
yeah.
said sorry.
Yeah. So that, if anything, is definitely indicative of a leap. So, yeah.
Anything to add on that one, or should we move on? All right. So, and then, you know what happened, right?
Yes.
Yes. How did you feel?
So my favorite part was the countdown's coming, right? And I'm like,
You know he missed the countdown?
oh, for real?
Yeah.
I was tweeting.
He was
about the
tweeting.
because I'm like, it's a countdown. Like, I don't know if pay attention to a countdown.
Yes, exactly. Dude,
Oh, no.
yeah, you know, like we'll talk about this for like the next 10 years or so, right? It's not a big
It's like,
deal,
I have
right?
10 seconds where I can not pay
Yeah,
attention.
Boom.
Little
Well,
did you know, you had 6 seconds. my
yeah.
friend. No, and I was sitting in the back of my head. I was like, oh man, how funny would it be if like it stops at 4? There's like a glitch
Really?
at 4.
You actually thought
yeah,
about
no,
that
I
one?
totally was like, they're gonna do
Whoa.
something. But when it slowed down, I was like,
Dude,
oh, they're actually just gonna like.
I absolutely did not see that one coming.
No,
Whoever came
'cause-
up with that one,
Because the colors
Genius.
were red, the numbers were red, so I was like, it's got a Diablo-esque, you know, that's our color. Like this has got to be for us.
I mean,
So-
we already talked about this one that I guess on stream you can't hear it. You know how wild the crowd went. Like you just can't. You know, it's like a stadium, literally. It's like a stadium, and it's like the Hail Mary just happened, essentially, right? People go fucking nuts.
You feel like the rumbling.
Yes, it was crazy. So, like,
And then it was really quiet too, which is kind of incredible. To
Yeah.
go from that level of hype, and,
And
then when
then-
you start hearing like the narrative
Yes.
of the cinematic, everyone's just stock still. Like,
Yeah.
what are we getting here? Like,
Yeah.
what's the story that's going to be
Exactly.
told? It was just at that point, I felt like I started smiling, and I haven't been able to stop smiling.
that's true. Like,
it was-
yeah, that's true.
Oh, it's so epic, man! Just so sick. Even with the snafu, which by the way, I don't know if you guys heard in Hall D, it was the only hall.
Yeah, it was. We already talked about this
okay.
one. We
All right, I'm just-
yeah,
all right,
oh,
I'll
yeah.
just leave. All right, guys, it's been real.
Exactly. No, we talked about this. It was the Hall D special.
Yeah.
And it's like an insider. It's like, so in which hall were you? Right? Were you in the hall?
You
Yeah, the hall. Yeah. Right. So it's like
Where
an
were you
insider.
when D4
Yeah.
skip 20 seconds of
It was-
this
yeah,
announcement?
like the important part, you know, when heads start rolling.
Yeah.
I'm sure some heads will roll for that one.
Yeah.
I wonder though, does anyone know what because there was one hall where they're like, if you have minors, go into this hall to watch the opening ceremony. What did they see? What was censored and how was it censored? Because I feel like that's why we got affected. Something wrong happened with the censoring. Because it seems like right when the violence was starting, that oof,
That's actually a great point. I hadn't thought about that one. Because no one's talked about like the alternate version, and whatever went on YouTube, I'm assuming was just the full cut.
it would make sense. Yeah,
Huh. That's probably it, actually.
we gotta ask some questions.
Yeah,
I mean,
get to the bottom of this.
You know when Rhykker has furies, I always
No,
go
no.
easy on those. It's a very good fury, though. I gotta say. It
During
looks-
today's panel,
I know. I saw the pictures and I killed myself from laughter.
but it wasn't meant to look. It wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
A guy.
No.
Do you think they did that on purpose?
Yes. It was specifically targeted at you. It
What
must be.
happened? I missed
You
this.
didn't see that one?
I must
You have
had
the
my head
picture?
down.
Just the picture.
have
It
the
explains
picture.
everything.
But I think we want people to understand as well. So it was a slide where they were talking about, it was at the start of the panel, they were talking about the origins of their love of gaming, and they showed some Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah.
iconography, and they showed a D20, and then they showed like a beam of light going into a prism that is triangular in shape, aka looking a lot like a four-sided die, and then beaming out to Diablo 4. So it almost looked like Illuminati confirmed, like four dice theory.
Yes. That's what, dude? That's exactly what it looks like. A D&D dice,
I
right?
love it. Yeah.
Going into a D4, acting like a prism, like splitting the light, showing the truth, right? and it's D4 that comes out.
That's actually incredible.
Dude,
Yeah, so
come
this must
on.
have been is that the start of the lore panel?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I missed like the first 15 minutes.
I mean, it wasn't the lore panel. Was it the lore panel?
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
I don't know how to zoom on. I don't know how to use a phone.
Yeah. Look at that one.
That is so good, dude.
Holy shit.
Conspiracy theory dice.
We don't have a way of linking that one in chat, right?
That's got to be a Rhykker reference.
Do we?
I think if you click on this button and then you copy into clipboard somewhere.
Which button is that?
Yeah, that's a good one. Huh. Go
Oh,
back.
here, copy to clipboard. Okay.
Yeah, and then you need to go to my Twitch chat and
Alright.
post it in there.
We'll do that.
All right, so you guys can see the joke in a
You got
couple
like
of
5
seconds.
minutes before I figured this out.
Yeah. All right,
Hey.
and that was would you look at that one? And it's Deadset here.
Whole crew
How you
is
doing, man?
assembled.
Yeah. We're streaming. I mean, come on. I think we have some space here. Let's go. Fourth person. Can we get him on screen? Yes. So this is the Deadset. The Deadset. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I just finished the last possible demo I could probably get for D4 for
Yeah?
the foreseeable future, so
I think you need to speak up a little bit.
a little bit louder. Okay, so I got maybe the last possible demo for D4 I'll ever get for the
Yeah.
next year or
I
so.
mean, Gamescom, right?
You would hope, maybe?
I mean, did I already tell you about the PCs?
Did you already tell me about the PCs? No,
I didn't. All right, so that's also probably a bit interesting. Did I tell you about the PCs?
I don't think
okay, so at the there's like a huge in the D hall, the demo station is huge, right? And I was wondering how many PCs are those, right? So I went to the guy, I'm asking, and he's like, yeah, I'll send you the tech guy. And then the tech guy comes around, the technical lead, and I ask him, so how many PCs do you guys have here? And he says, yeah, 600. I'm like, so. Okay, and those are like 2080 Ti's, right, with like, good systems, right? Better than my system, you can definitely stream from those. Just saying, Blizzard. Just saying, you have 600. So pretty good systems. And I'm like, so since everything is like, if something is sponsored from company, it always says sponsored by, right? And I'm like, so who's the vendor who actually gave you the PCs, right? And then the guy looks at me and he's, no, we built them. Those are our PCs. Like, you have 600 of those PCs. What are you gonna use those 600 PCs for? And he looks at me and says, well, and I'm like, see you at Gamescom? And he's like, see?
Every last straw
Yeah,
possibly grasp onto,
yeah.
you would use.
Yes, yes,
Man,
yes.
my man.
That's awesome.
So,
I hope he's right.
yeah,
Roids were.
Yeah.
I would love to play more.
yes.
More than 20 minutes. Come on.
Yeah. There was a lot to do though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
Barely
if there's
any time
is
to
there
do
an
it.
order to this or anything or.
No, just go ahead. Come on.
Yeah, I just want to say I felt like it was a nicely done demo because even though you had like the 20-minute time limit,
Yeah.
it was done in a way that actually left you wanting more, right? Like because there was so many.
Could you do it in a way that you are not left with more?
I mean, if there was like.
Make it garbage, okay.
Well, no.
Make it so garbage that you just want to leave.
Well, think about it this way. though.
Minecraft stuff, like, I don't know. But okay, yeah.
If you play like one class, right, and there's just like the guide you on rails
Yeah.
through the it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Guide you through the rails on the demo, and then you're done. There's maybe another class, but you've seen all the things, right? You did the event, it led
Okay.
you to the town, you did the town, you talked to the quest guy. But in this, you
Okay.
could be like, well, I kept hearing about this like crazy big battle.
Okay, because you were branching all the time from
Yeah.
the center, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Probably
that's
impossible
true.
to do all the content in the 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely.
Exactly.
You just go in one direction, explore something in that direction. You make the objective in that direction, right? It was like essentially like a circle. You were going in one direction, finding something, doing the objective, which was sometimes random, and then your time would be over after that objective, right?
Yeah.
You maybe managed to get into town, look at your items, and then usually already the timer kicks in, and you're like, well, I guess I will run around a bit.
Yes.
And for the next session, you would go into a different direction usually,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. True. I agree.
All the objectives were for ahead of us, right? Who ran backwards? Because I know I did.
I never did.
You hit a dead end.
Oh.
Let me spoil it for you. There's a
I was like,
crossover
did you
road.
find the hidden like second, fifth class?
I was hoping for that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, talking about classes, let's make a hot switch. So we know we have 3 classes right now.
Yeah.
At release, we have 5 classes. Right now, we don't have like a bow class, which means I'm very happy. Just want to say it. Very happy.
Meanie.
Yeah.
You're also a Demon Hunter hater, right?
My least favorite class for sure.
All right,
my
so
God.
let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. No, no.
Out of here.
David Kim
Yeah.
spoke of
Said
something.
no Demon Hunter.
Indirectly. So
Yeah.
I brought up that. Well, I brought up the archetypes, right?
Yeah.
So you got your melee brute covered by the barbarian. You got your spellcaster covered by the sword. What's natural is to expect a ranged bow class like the rogue or the Amazon or you know. And he's like, well, you know, we might not necessarily stick to the archetypes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
No way. Not a
That would be
single ranged
surprising.
damage dealer
so
with
he
physical
didn't say it
attacks,
exactly,
like,
but he said that they're not, you know,
Not
locked
beholden
into-
to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. It's hard to imagine a game that didn't have that for Diablo.
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh my god. How much is all this equipment worth if I smash it? If I just smash it, like, how much will you hate me?
Probably for a bit,
Oh my god.
but not for too long.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth it.
Okay. For the,
No.
you know.
So just to be fair, I'm just memeing a bit.
of course, of course.
But the archetypes that are missing are the ranged damage dealer with
Yes.
bow and arrow, and
Yes.
pretty much the holy warrior.
Right.
The Holy Warrior. So either like Pellet.
Unless the truth
Yeah,
tells that.
who's the summoner?
Oh, true.
Like we don't have like summoner,
Summoner,
types.
classic summoner,
Yeah, right.
sure.
It would more likely be a Necro than a Witch Doctor.
I would think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Fitting in with the dark theme that
Do,
they're really
do
going
you
for.
think they're really? So we know that Witch Doctor was the least played class in Diablo. We
Right.
know that one, right? That
In
was like
D3.
the in D3.
I mean, if you look at the analytics,
Yes.
it suggests that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Sorry, Tony.
yeah, sorry.
It's just you.
Yep. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that's the
Dozens
least.
of you.
Dozens.
It's the least played class. So you think that was like they just cut it? You know, it's not an immortal.
Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
Well, didn't they
Not
think that it
in-
might come to Immortal later?
Yeah.
They did.
I thought last year they suggested that they might
was
bring more
suggested,
classes. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I wonder why I didn't know that one.
I wonder why.
Well, why didn't you?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Keep up with the
So,
news.
but okay, with that David Kim info in mind, then it makes me more believing in my theory that I think we'll get an assassin. Because if there's assassin and Amazon or Rogue, I feel like that was married to become essentially Demon Hunter in D3. So if you're decidedly, or not decidedly, but if it's potential that you won't go like all the most typical archetypes, then maybe you fully lean into going assassin and then just do like the traps, like the combos with kicking. Because there's no monk, right? So you can
traps.
kind of take that same, like I guess physical but combination style of play. And maybe the assassin, it's not ranged, right? But it can kind of fit both in that you have like the combo kick thing,
Yeah.
and then you set traps and you kind of play from like mid range maybe or a bit of a far away.
throw knives and stuff.
How do you guys feel about that? Do you feel they should capture the basic archetypes, or that it's good? Because one way I think of it is, well, who do you want your game to appeal to? What if there's people that just really like playing, you know, ranged bow classes, and they're like, oh, well, I guess this game isn't for me.
Yeah. So I guess like reintroducing archetypes that we've seen it's like you're fishing for the old ones, right? The returning players, the ones that already played something like this because of nostalgia, right? For instance, when he said traps, I'm like, oh, traps, dude. And I'm like placing like lightning traps, and then Bale is spawning his guys, and they're just gone, and you just lure it. That was amazing. I love that one. So I feel like aiding the fantasy of archetypes we already had is reaching out for people that already played that game a lot, right? Creating new ones is kind of dangerous, I feel, but it's definitely a risk that I want to see. I want to see just plain new archetypes. It's like in no game that we have like a full hybrid class. Like a class that can do everything, like every skill, for instance, right? Maybe some severe penalties, right? But technically, think of something like in Diablo right now, let's call him, I don't know, Descendant, and the Ascendant.
Oh my.
Where'd you get that from?
Yeah, it just came to me.
Oh.
Right? The Ascendant has the capability of just selecting, all the skills in Diablo 3. Obviously, you would always play Land of the Dead with Corpse Lance.
Oh my goodness.
Right? It's like
It's just a weaker neck. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Great.
Right. So
I couldn't imagine a more non-Blizzard move.
yeah.
Honestly.
Really.
Yeah.
Going with something new.
They
Okay.
love their archetypes. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they also don't like giving the same thing that someone else has to something else. I said that really ineloquently, but I think it's more like they are so big into distinctions of classes that, there's a bit of, maybe not fear, but reluctance to say, okay, teleport is a wizard thing. Let's give teleport to Ascendant or whatever, right? So
That's true.
even though we're seeing a little bit of that happen with some of the items that we did get to witness in the demo,
the
like
Hydra ring.
exactly,
Hydra
right?
ring.
You can borrow skills, but the best Hydra will always be had by the wizard because they'll actually be able to modify the skill, right?
Yeah, that's true. Right.
So I don't know. I think I would be. I could get over it. I'd cry at least, when it was officially confirmed that there would be no bow and arrow class. It would, it would keep me up at night. I'd be like, why did Blizzard abandon me? I thought we had something special, but
I think we'd sleep pretty well, right?
I was sarcastic. I actually really like.
he loves Demon Hunter.
Wow.
you got
I
taken
got
for a ride, bud.
wowed. Yeah, I was not sarcastic. I didn't see it. I just got played.
Oh my god!
So thanks for tuning in.
See you next year.
Right?
See you next year.
Oh my god!
All right, really?
I do like it.
Okay.
I also like Wizard a lot, though. I like, in general, I prefer ranged classes to melee, but it super bother me whether it's I'm shooting magic or shooting a bow.
You know what? I realized just today, or rather 30 minutes ago, I didn't click with the druid initially, what they had presented.
Yeah,
but
you mentioned it. You didn't like it at the beginning.
actually, I'm the reverse now. I totally clicked with it the last time I played, and
Why?
maybe I just didn't grasp onto the skills like they had in the demo, like how they played out, and
A lot of people had troubles with that one.
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of people had troubles understanding transformation.
Yeah.
And how transformation actually works. Right?
Yes.
So I think implicitly everybody thinks of like you click this button, right? Like
Yeah.
a transform to bear,
And
and
you
then you are,
stay.
and it's like Archon, right?
Yeah.
Like Archon, you transform into something, and then you're something else. Maybe your buttons change a bit. You have like different abilities, or you just have like a global buff to you, like say Epiphany, for instance, or Vengeance, right? That is entirely not how it works. It's actually the way it works
go
is
time.
exactly
Yes.
you have Werebear or like
the werewolf, the
werewolf.
werewolf.
Yeah, it's exactly. You have those abilities, and so you have like, let's see, 3 Werebear abilities. If you equip it, once you hit with one of those abilities, you transform while hitting, and then for that hit, you are in that in that transformation state.
Until you cast a different skill,
Yeah.
essentially that
So-
takes you out of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So technically you can do like left click, like some auto attack with Werebear, and right click with Werewolf, and you would transition between those 2 states all the time. Which is, I guess, kind of nice if you have like a legendary effect that casts something on shapeshift.
Which there was.
Well, even talents
There
do
was.
that.
Yeah.
Talents definitely.
Wait, what was there? Like, what did it do?
I forget if I went left or right or whatever to get it, but there was like a staff, I think it was,
Yeah.
that made it so every time you shapeshifted, it dealt like
Drops some
400,
lightning.
400, 500 lightning damage or something.
Oh,
So it
see?
actually is encouraging you to
Yeah.
have a
Shapeshift
bunch
all
of
the
different
time,
shifts.
So attack speed, and then just and then
Bounce between two.
sure,
Yeah, 'cause
okay,
otherwise it's just like a cosmetic visual effect. Like,
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it didn't have any impact on gameplay, like who would care? Like,
Right.
But a
it's
lot-
changing a bit.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
you
mind.
actually like that now, so
Yeah,
Okay.
it made more sense when I sat down and thought about how I played it. And I guess the boulder is actually a lot stronger than I realized.
Boulder's good.
I mean, the boulder has crushing blow.
Yep.
So,
Which inherently makes it pretty good, pretty scary.
Yeah.
Pretty scary, yeah.
One thing I thought that was kind of intriguing though was that, and this is probably more to the general game, but I thought positioning mattered quite a bit. Like
Yeah.
being able to navigate the battlefield and like make sure you weren't standing in some bad stuff, or that you were able to move to somewhere else when things were going to get bad for you. So like, I think I was in the dungeon that had a bunch of the Fallen, and it was the like hardest content in the demo at that point.
Yeah.
There were actually like times I was like, I'm too overwhelmed with enemies.
Yes,
like,
I had the same thing multiple times.
Yeah, I was utilizing
times.
the like the spacebar evade thing.
Yes.
And then I was also using like the bear trample thing. Like
Yeah.
I needed to move. I needed to be very agile.
Yeah.
Which I think is great because it feels like in D3 right now, it's a lot of like I can stand and deliver. Like I don't really need to move too much. But you know, maybe it's just demo that's causing this.
You
or
might get to a point where you just stand and deliver in D4
right.
as well.
I do hope though that as we scale up and we get to endgame and things, that like it is actually really difficult and like you can take some severe damage if you're not cautious about where you are.
Talking about endgame, I think we talked already about this one a bit, right? How do you feel about the keystone system where you like, you know?
Battery. The key dungeons
Yeah, the key dungeons, exactly.
sounds like maps.
Sound like
Yeah.
maps, right? right? We actually talked about this one, I already.
And like WoW keystones. As
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
mythic dungeons.
I've never played WoW, so I can't really like.
Well, it's kind of like that as well.
I mean, there seem to be a lot of WoW components and even like terminology. All I say is mythic items. That's like.
Yeah.
I'd rather have them called something Diablo-ish or something that was born in the Diablo world.
Primal.
Yeah, primal. To be fair, I think primal would
Diablo
be.
term ever coined.
Yeah,
Oh my
I mean,
goodness.
I think the primal term would be better than the mythic term to me.
I was thinking about that earlier too.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, it's just a word, but still.
Sure,
Yeah.
but they are. I think it almost continues to.
Yeah, if we stare at Levy's crotch, by the way, the chat is there.
There's some interesting things happening.
Oh, the
in
chat
this
is there.
area.
Sure, sure. Then
Just blank screen. I was gonna say, I think though, maybe and maybe it's a placeholder, maybe it could change, but to me, it just further showcases that they are really leaning into a lot of MMO elements
Yeah.
for D4. Even the overworld sort of thing where it's populated by a lot of players that aren't in your party, but that you can see interacting with you, or not interacting with you, but interacting with other like elements in the environment. I kind of like it, to be honest. I don't feel like it needs to, like everything needs to be colored in a Diablo way,
sure.
because a name is just a name at the end of the day.
All right, so if I take the same arguments, and I'm the devil's advocate here right now,
Sure,
okay?
sure.
If I take the same argument and I take away isometric view from you, you still be okay?
But there are some things that are core tenets.
Okay, okay.
right.
I totally agree with you on this one. I just wanted to see how far can I take it.
Fair
But yeah,
enough.
I agree.
Fair
so
enough. Yeah. Okay. So yes, there are some things where I feel like
Okay.
they are like Diablo centric.
yes, this is
they're-
Diablo. This defines Diablo and the concept of Diablo, and isometric is one of those.
For instance, if they had the barbarian in the game and it actually wasn't named the barbarian, I would be fine with that because it's still the playstyle of the
okay,
barbarian.
sure.
But it's just by a different name. So
Okay,
that's kind of what I'm trying
I
to
get
say.
it. I get it. All right, that actually makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Did you find it at all conspicuous that none of the devs ever said MMO?
Huh.
I wonder if they were told it's a no-no word, not to scare like because there's a lot of Diablo
base.
players that like they want offline single player, they don't want it to turn into an MMO. I didn't get the sense that they were like withholding stuff, but like it seems like a lot of these concepts would almost be easier to explain if they just said MMO or something. I don't know.
Okay. Yes. Yes. For instance, mounting or character customization, like real character customization, all those are very MMO-ish, and it would have definitely been easier to say, you know, this is like the mount that you know from MMOs. This is like the MMO-ish customization that just MMOs give you. I agree. It would have been a bit easier, and it could have shortened some explanations. I'm not like I think that's kind of like a political or diplomatic topic, so I'm not an expert on that
But
one.
language is definitely important to them. Like you saw
Yes.
how
Yeah.
they said, "We will not sell power instead of we'll sell
Yes.
cosmetics."
Yes, that's true. Very good catch. Yeah,
Interesting.
that was a very good catch.
But of course, I mean that's natural for
Yeah.
developers and
Yeah.
game companies.
Indeed.
We will not sell power. Sell cosmetics.
Yes, exactly.
But it sounds better. Will not sell power sounds better than will sell.
Personally, on the very first panel that we heard to on the first day, I think the one line that made me the most happy was essentially when he said, "So Diablo 4 is an isometric ARPG," and
It's
that
a classic as well.
yeah.
Classic.
So that is when I knew, all right, I'll play it. Because as long as that wasn't clear, if it would have been like a camera-free MMO, I probably would have not. I would have touched it. I would have bought it. But I think it would have been it for me with the Diablo series as a streamer. Maybe I would have continued with D3, but definitely not with D4. So the isometric ARPG was, for me, that was a milestone, and that made me very, very happy. Just that I know this is a game I will actually play and enjoy. I hate all the free camera stuff, but it's just my opinion. So.
Yeah, it's interesting because I remember when you were streaming, you were like very perturbed by the camera changing on you with the Ashava fight.
Yeah. Yep.
It really bugs you that much.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
I guess already at Belial.
Screen distances, that power moves you that many.
I'm not sure. So, I'm not sure if there's any I don't feel like I'm playing worse or if it's distorted to me or something. I know that my peripheral view is very bad, right? And I don't have I'm periscopic blind, so I can't see depth. Right. So, for instance, I'm not allowed to be a driver in public transport.
Oh, okay.
I'm legally not allowed to have that job, right? So I couldn't be a truck driver, a taxi driver, or a pilot or something. I'm not allowed to do so. All my dreams gone. Always wanted to be a truck driver. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And then I stopped and I went to become a research engineer. It's unfortunately.
Such a different life plan.
But you've kind of seen that already with the Belial fight,
And that's actually what you referenced.
That's what I said. Exactly, that's what I said. And I said I hated it.
Bugs you then. I got you.
Well, actually, so you'll see it. Perfect. That's exactly what happened on stream. Yeah.
Yep.
So, that's when you know you're talking with experts,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. And essentially, I think we summarized on day one, right?
Yeah.
It was like everything on day one. Well, is there anything outstanding to you at you were also there, the media group interview? What was your favorite question, or the question that you liked the most, or what was really important to you? We already talked about this one.
I just thought how funny it was that how bad they must have felt. Everything that we asked them pretty much were the things that they were going to spell out pretty much on the second day. And it just stuck out to me that maybe these interviews should happen after panels like this, so we don't repeat ourselves or make them suffer like that. But super specifically, something that sticks out. Nah, I couldn't really add anything off the top of my head.
I mean, did you feel so that's something that I noticed and I mentioned is I felt like, it was like a grouped interview, so everybody with a media badge was actually able to attend, and obviously the media interest in Diablo is fairly large, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But I felt like the most amount of questions actually came from influencers and from Twitch streamers and YouTubers, but actually not from the big journalism companies, right? So that was kind of. Did you have the same feeling that actually the community was carrying the discussion at the group media thing?
For sure, but it didn't surprise me because we're the ones that are gonna want the most nitty gritty of details, right? Every question that I was hearing from certain people, I was I can tell they're asking for their own interest because Zizrin's asking a question, he's approaching it from I need to stream this game 40 plus hours a week. What are endgame systems going to look like? What's trading going to look like? Things like that, because he needs to know that the game is going to support his ability and his way that he enjoys playing it in order to keep his stream going, in order to keep revenue and whatever coming in. So it didn't really surprise me. I would imagine that any of the more general outlets, a lot of that was probably maybe over their heads to the point where they're I don't even know why they're asking that.
One PC gamer guy that had his question asked.
That's true. That's true.
No, he was pretty cool. Or he asked a good question.
All right. Was there a question the previous question?
Clans. I was really excited to hear that there's going to be clan stash and that'll be shared, because that is also a very MMO element, right?
That
with
is a
guilds
very
and guild banks.
yes.
But
yes.
also, don't forget that I was
also
exactly going to say that.
thing,
I was
right?
exactly going to say that. And actually leads me into a question for the group too, which is, do you guys feel like there's anything that you've seen in particular that feels borrowed from a game that's been out, or something from the community that they're showing they're paying attention to what's going on?
Yeah, they are not afraid to just take concepts that they think work very well for other games. And sure, not every concept that works in a game very well should be incorporated, right? It's a weird mixture of everything.
Right.
But they are not afraid to take something and also to say so, right?
Yeah.
You had that question on stream, right, with David Kim, essentially.
Well, I know he
similar
brought
one.
up Lost Ark, for instance. which again, it feels like typically in the past it's always been like taboo to bring up other games.
Yeah, definitely.
It's always stay on target, on brand. So like you just seem really genuine. You brought up Lost Ark. I forget if you brought up another game, but like I asked him a Path of Exile question, for instance, and I don't remember what his answer was at this point, but
Sure.
yeah.
They're willing to talk about it. Yeah, it seems, and this is sort of why I was, initially talking about the way that BlizzCon started with the opening ceremony and Brack's statement. It felt like this was a BlizzCon, at least from the Diablo perspective, that they were really willing to cut out a lot of the like PR, a lot of the like canned responses in a way. I mean, we got some of that from the interview, but think about it this way too. It was the first time where the answer wasn't just we're not ready to discuss that at this point, but Joe was like, I'll give you some philosophy on what we might do or
That's
the way
true.
we're thinking about this.
Like for instance, my question about like incremental gains over time, right? When every time you log in. Even though he didn't want to say anything specific, he just conceptually confirmed that it's gonna happen, right? So essentially, just for the stream to catch up, there was a question. So I had the question that at the start of D3, there was a time where you were essentially done. You were level 70, you had all your items, maybe from the auction house or anywhere.
Sure.
But you were done, right? And you would log in, play for 2 hours because you just had 2 hours in your hands, and then you finished the game and you were as strong as before. Like you did essentially nothing in those 2 hours, and people felt bad about it, right? And then Blizzard added Paragon, which is like, you play for 2 hours right now, you're guaranteed to have some kind of an incremental power. That got ad absurdum with like a lot of XP gain, and then Paragon became too strong because you're not guaranteed to get the item when you play, but you're guaranteed to get Paragon.
Sure.
So you just focus on Paragon.
Sure.
Right? And I was actually asking, so will there be small incremental upgrades by guarantee that if you play and you stop playing at some point, you'll always be stronger when you end? And he said yes. We'll have something like this, so conceptually yes, but they are very, very aware of what happened with Paragon, and they will try to make sure that that doesn't happen like it is right now.
Did they say you'll always be stronger, or that you won't feel like you wasted your time?
That's a good point.
I'm genuinely asking.
Yeah, I can't recall, so we should check the video, and the videos are online, so that's how I remember it, so disclaimer on that one, that's how I remember it. But he said there will be some incremental upgrades, or at least it feels like it, all right? It won't be wasted time. So they're looking for systems like that.
Speaking of wasted time,
yeah,
this is going to be the weirdest segue, but you'll understand in a bit, hopefully. What did you think of the new question and answer system? Instead of having people line up and ask questions, the questions are submitted and a moderator selects which ones to ask.
I mean, I can give you a taste of it.
Yeah, go.
All right, so we have a question that is essentially, how do you feel about, what he said? How do you feel?
Oh my God! Nicely done. Nicely done.
You didn't see that one coming.
No,
right?
definitely didn't.
Like,
that's a new angle.
That's why I am professional memer. And
oh my goodness! I'm not too offended by it.
You're a little offended.
Just that's potential. I'm leaving the door open for some offense. It did feel a little weird because
I agree.
I don't know. It's so hard to put into words, but this is not a new concept. First of all, I think is one thing to maybe put out there is that I've heard other franchises have done this as well, where they take questions ahead of time. The one thing I'm trying to say without feeling odd about saying it is that, to me, it feels like you can very cherry pick what it is that you're trying to push, to the point where almost like make your own questions.
Yes.
And maybe that's not as genuine as like something the community really wants to know, right? I want to believe in my heart of hearts, of course, that all the questions were pulled in real questions, and there's no reason to doubt that that's not the case. But I guess it's more like it can continue to push an agenda of whatever it is that they specifically were trying to get to the people, because maybe a question that someone truly found intriguing and could have been a very valid question just got skipped over, versus like, oh, but we really wanted to hit tell them about, I don't know, how dark it's going to be again. And here's another question about, oh, it's going to be super dark. Or even like, I don't know, like, why did the question about is there going to be hardcore need to be asked? Like, I think we knew.
I guess you could wonder, because it's an always online game and veering so close into MMO territory, that hardcore might not really mesh with it, but
okay.
Playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, that's actually fair. I hadn't thought about it from that angle.
So they picked that question, right? Like they decided this question should be in there, the hardcore question. But did you notice the answer? The answer was yeah, of course, because it's a Diablo game. There's hardcore in there, right?
Yeah.
And Immortal does not have hardcore.
Oh.
So it was kind of self-tripping, I would say, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure they realized at that point.
I hadn't thought about that.
But it's like, yeah, of course, it's a Diablo game. There's hardcore. So.
Immortal has a pretty good reasoning though because of mobile connection.
Yeah, mobile connect. Yeah. It's just I'm not reasoning against that, but you get like conceptually, it's just kind of nuts.
It's a funny.
So conceptually what you said though, right? With like the Q&A questions, right? So I liked it a bit more, and the reason is just for one reason. We all know those guys that go to the mic and they're like, "Hey, my name is Jack. I've been playing since I've been 15 years old. My grandma's playing. My granddad is playing. He really likes Wizard, and my dog." Telling you he really loves it when I play. So I have a question. Do we get a new transmog? It's like,
Okay.
I remember those guys.
Yeah, you're right.
So those questions with where like people is like a suffix where a prefix where like they tell you like a CV essentially of how they like the game, how they love it. It's not gonna happen.
Right. Yeah.
Or even the questions that are really just like really long suggestions framed as a question, like I really like this.
Yes.
Are you gonna do it? Kind of
Yes,
thing.
it's just like right. I was like, I have a 2-part question, right? And it's like, firstly, secondly, and then everybody is like, yeah. It's like, so, dude, I don't want to be a panelist on that end. Like, I really don't. Like from our point of view, I guess we're like kind of split between, right? But for the panelists, I'm like, if I'm a panelist, I definitely want like the pre-picked Q&A, so I don't get all that bullshit.
I will say it definitely improves quality.
It improves quality, but it goes against tradition. Right?
Yeah.
It's not BlizzCon tradition.
It can feel a little more stuff.
You brought up a great point. I had to consider that, and I don't like that it puts the ball in Blizzard's court to completely control the narrative of the Q&A. So I guess if they act ethically completely, then I'm for it. If they use that as an excuse to control the narrative, then I'm less opposed to. But in general, my first instinct was that I prefer this. I come from a journalistic background, and I would get super irritated when people would waste time with questions, either filibustering or asking. They're halfway through the question, and I'm like, they're not going to answer this. They're not going to. Why are you asking this? Like, you're wasting a slot for a potentially really good question on something that they're going to answer with. We have no comment right now.
Yes.
And there's like a good amount of the questions end up being non-answers. Like, so we get me really frustrated. Just thinking back, it's gonna be frustrating. So we got a lot fewer non-answers this time. I did find the hardcore question bizarre because we had that information already. So I wondered why they cherry-picked to answer a question that we already knew. But yeah.
That's how Diablo it is, man.
Yeah. Maybe that's like the send-off.
It's very Diablo.
It's so Diablo.
So Diablo,
right
you're
now.
not gonna believe it.
No, that's a good point. Yeah. So overall, I would say the value gained by doing it this way is better than sticking to tradition.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. Personally, I agree on this one. All right. So I think now we have day one entirely wrapped up for the third time. Let's start with day 2. Did we already start with day 2 at some point?
Hey, what's up, man?
Come on. There's still space on the ground. You want to sit on the ground? Come on, I sit on the ground.
No.
So, all right, Bluddshed.
Yep.
Yo.
I mean, I think. Come on, Rhykker. Come on. We won't
On the
left. Come on. Like, yes.
There it is.
Oh,
Real comfort.
yes. Now.
There
We got a hug now to make enough space.
Right
So this is what we do on BlizzCon, especially on Sundays, just without clothes.
Yeah.
We're extreme mess.
Wait, all right.
That's how we get to know each other, you know?
So do we start over again with like, how was your day 1? How did you like the? No, we're not gonna do that
Your
one.
eyes are so brown.
Are they? Oh, because they're close?
Did you actually smoke something?
No. Am I full of shit because it's brown? Is that what you mean?
No.
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 Wow.
I'm
Okay.
just Myron.
You're just
I'm just Myron.
okay.
I live in California. You
Yeah,
guys,
that's
if
true. Yeah, that's
anything,
true.
you
That's
guys
true.
would be partaking.
That is true. That's true.
Yeah.
Actually, I should because
It's legal in Canada too.
really.
True.
Yeah.
Wow.
And in Massachusetts now.
Your countries are so developed. It's ridiculous.
Germans in the Stone Age.
Yeah, or literally are. Like if you come to Gamescom, you definitely have to do detox first.
Stone Age.
You guys definitely have to do detox first. Like, wow. All right, so day 2. We just started with day 2, which was today.
Yes.
No, we gotta do day 1 again now.
Yeah, and then afterwards somebody else comes, and we're just never ending to like next BlizzCon. We're still sitting here, right? It's like, and BlizzCon 2020 just started. We'll be back in 2 days, giving you a summary. Like, now day 2. So how did you start day 2? So personally, I did an Immortal stream with Jesse Rocks, and that was my beginning of the day. Like, what was your favorite thing of day 2?
Had the Diablo 4 demo to myself in the morning.
All right.
Yeah.
So you played in the media room?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anything specific you found out you did? Anything specific you really liked there?
I'm better when I'm not on stream for the first time. I realized, wow, this is so easy to play when you're not answering questions. I love it. It's amazing.
I mean, do you guys have the same feeling that you're a better player when you don't stream?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, yeah, like heavily, right?
Yeah.
Like streaming actually makes you so bad as a terms of playing. So.
No, absolutely. It's like
sure.
They're just like
yeah. Well, you don't need a picture with us. It's fine. Like Rhykker just was asked for a picture. I think Twitch chat is going. No. It's all good.
It's like the multitask thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the more divided your attention is, that's why they tell you not to, text and drive or any of that stuff.
Exactly.
You're reading chat and driving your stream, and driving the game or whatever, and you're never going to be as good of a driver of the game as you are when you're fully focused.
That's true. That's true.
That's why like half my pushes I do off stream and everyone hates it. But I always feel I'm
feel
going to
you.
be way more successful.
I feel you. It's
stream.
also when I play Z-Barb, there's no way I can stream it because it just takes away too much from me streaming. That's
because you have to focus too much.
Yeah, usually I don't want to slack my group.
Sure.
Like I really just don't want to slack my group, and getting like the GG out of GG Rift where we know we can make like an insane timer, and then I'm not 100% is not fair to them, because that event happens like once in 2,000 keys, and if I can't play to my maximum abilities, they should not play with me. That's how I feel, right? Hence, Z-Barb is very strange to stream and focus on.
I think it would be easy, but you play it like Z-Bar. I don't play Z-Bar at a high level, so it's a difference. Like you're probably chaining and pulling and constantly.
Yeah.
I will say there are like certain builds or like certain activities that are definitely more streamer friendly or stream friendly, and that might be like doing bounties and actually being able to pull people into stream when you're doing them and stuff like that. So you can kind of like, if you wanted to, set it up in a way where it's not going to sacrifice from your stream because it's an event that actually like works well with what you're doing for the stream. But the most compelling content is often the pushing and the stuff like that, but it's also often the thing you need to concentrate on the most. So then it's at this sort of catch-22 of like, I want to show you like the crazy stuff, but chat interaction and chat like focus is going to go super way down. But maybe if it's so compelling, they won't mind, right? So you kind of have to weigh all those different factors.
But they do mind.
I know, right?
Why is he not talking?
Why haven't you answered my question?
Mr. Broadcaster.
Mr. Broadcaster.
Yeah.
I'm like hella addicted too. Like even now, I'm like looking at your phone like across the. Like there's something about like I just have to like know and what's happening. Yeah. So
you got to take a look.
Huh?
You got to take a look.
I have
right?
to. It's impossible.
Disease.
Wow.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was actually talking to Mr. Lama, and he has like a fun side effect. He's always streaming Diablo 2, and he's streaming in 800 x 600, right?
Yeah.
And so he has this chat right next to the game on the same screen, right? So all he has to do is just move his eyes, right? And when he was streaming at the booth, he actually had to look at the different screen, and he hated it. He said, "Look, my neck is killing me." You know, it's like it's a full screen game, and then you have to do this, and it's impossible to do. It's like impossible. A human can't do this for 6 hours. like because he's always used to just look to the left, right? And he was seriously considering like creating like an overlay on the bottom left-hand corner so he can read chat or something. So he's seriously considering that one. But that's a fun thing, right? For us, it's like completely not understandable because we always look on a different screen. But that was like a fun thing regarding reading
got it
chat.
on the same
right?
one, yeah.
There's a question in chat about servers and lag.
Oh yeah.
You were kind of thinking about it when we were doing
Yeah,
this
exactly. So how did the game feel to you? For me, the game was incredibly responsive. Like
I agree.
Like it felt you clicked something and it happened immediately. I know from playing a bit on NA sometimes, right, or having like very high ping on PTR. I play a lot of PTR, so rubber banding backwards, playing like you feel like you're in quicksand essentially, right, or swimming in honey happens quite frequently. I did not have that feeling in D4 at all. It felt very responsive, and I was 1000% certain that the build that we got, the demo, is actually offline. Like it actually happens on the PC. And it's not a server connection because I felt like they don't want, they don't want to risk bad experience for players just because the convention turn is bad. Right. It's like, you know, the game might be good and might be working well, but suddenly, you know, convention turn is bad, and then the first impression of Diablo 4 is bad. But it turned out when I was talking to one of the engineers, no, this is full server mode. Yeah. Like, you are actually playing on a server, and it felt super crisp. Yeah. Like, you can really feel it's a new engine, it's a new netcode. They really, it's an extremely good experience in terms of combat. Yeah.
To be fair, we're playing a very grounded version of the game. We're playing a low-level, pretty much underdeveloped character at all times. There's not enough particles going on the screen at any given time. Not enough monsters, I suppose. At most, I've seen like 15-ish, but never more than that.
That's true.
And we know when the lag hits in D3. It's not when you're having 5 monsters on the screen and you're level 25.
Yeah, so I definitely agree that like we haven't gotten the true stress test, but I will say though that when you do the Ashava fight and there's like 15 other players around you, one thing was I didn't notice as much of the like flashiness of skills that we got in D3, you know? And of course we're not using, you know, souped up builds or souped up versions of skills yet maybe. But it didn't feel like anyone else casting their stuff was making it harder for me to figure out what's going on the battlefield, and just the fact that there were that many players doing that many things at the same time, it didn't slow down them, or it didn't feel like there was anything like weird happening.
Yeah, I agree. So that was a question from chat, right?
Nice. Yeah, there was no slowdown during the world boss at all. I didn't see anything. I had at least 10 plus people, like in my zone.
Really?
Yeah, and there was nothing. And then like zoomed out, so there was more stuff.
How do you like the zoom out?
I like it. I think it makes it look more epic.
Am I the only one that is like, yeah? You like it?
Yep.
I like it. I'm indifferent to it. I don't feel strongly either way, but I don't hate it. As I said, we've already seen this.
Sorry, buddy.
Everybody likes it but you? It's just one fight. It's not like it's the whole game, though. So.
What if it's every world boss? Oh my god. SVR just...
You know,
5% of my game time. No.
There's always PoE, you know?
No.
You know?
Spicy.
So do you just play your PoE fully zoomed in?
No, I don't.
Oh.
But I think you have the same thing at the Kitaba fight, where it zooms out.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
does that bother you?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I mean,
so consistent.
Yeah, right. You're stupid, but consistent with your stupidity. It's like literally Leviathan right now. You know, you're wrong, but at least you're consistent with being wrong. I like that, you know, you're sticking to your line of sucking ass. Oh, thank you.
I didn't say all that, but I sign off on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You just ran with that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I get that one. So,
is there like a break point of the zoom out that bothers you, or
no? It's actually mostly like, at least in the zoom out version, that your character is not centered. There's like a circle of when the camera starts moving, right? Once you edge it, that's when it starts moving, and that's the really like I feel like I'm losing my character. Alright? Because my eyes, if I would have an eye tracker, my eyes is always on the boss. I'm always on the boss. I know where my character is by definition, essentially, right? Yeah, and I lost my character, essentially.
Maybe it's something you have to get used to, or like over time, you know, because you just...
Yeah, but the rest of the game, you always have it at the same position. Like, I would be fine, like, obviously it's a penalty to not zoom out to most people, because you see less. But on the other hand, you always know where you are. So I'd be very happy if you could disable the option.
Maybe you're right. What if you just get the zoom out, but you always centered on screen?
That's also fine by me.
Really?
Yeah, that would actually fix it for me. That would make it way easier for me. It's really about the position of my character is not consistent.
Okay.
You're a weird creature, you know that?
Precise.
But in a good way.
Yeah.
In the best way possible.
that turned around quickly. Good save, bro. Good save. Like, okay. Thank you.
It.
Anytime.
So day two.
Day two.
Where are we? Yeah.
Day two. We have the system panel, right?
Yeah,
so
systems and features.
That was a good one.
We started with classes, right? We had the free classes by... Who did it?
Pardon?
the class panel?
Oh, I don't remember anything.
Yeah, I have no clue. Who did it actually?
David Kim.
David Kim.
Yes.
He did the free classes.
Yeah,
Wow.
okay. Names.
Look at that guy. Wow.
He was the one who was talking about it.
Who was the third one?
About what?
I don't know.
I remember who spoke, but not who spoke about what. Like, so,
Yeah. No, the second one was Angela, right?
Yes, and she did the overworld stuff.
Yes, but wasn't she introduced as a lead UI?
I have no idea.
All right.
I remember her title.
Okay.
Actually. I don't remember her last name.
Del Piero.
Oh, nice.
I think.
It sounds right. No, that's all that matters. Yeah.
It sounds at least
believable,
sounds
right?
right.
You could have said her last name was SVR, and I'm like, yep. You're right.
Yeah. All right. So the second one was her with open world, and she actually talked a lot about. I mean, she didn't really say that there is SSF, but also she didn't say there is no SSF.
Okay, so
There's
I'm
no
mad.
SSF. There's no way.
There's no SSF, and I'm actually mad. Actually,
I mean, when did we get the confirmation that there's no SSF?
So
They don't. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
They were just saying that like they don't want to exclude any players, and like they want to support the
But
way
I
want to
exclude
play.
myself.
Then you just don't. Then you don't have to participate in PvP zones. You don't have to do the public stuff. You can just play the campaign and.
But doesn't it like imply there's no ranking system at some point?
I asked them, and they said there's no leaderboards currently.
Currently.
But it's just currently. It could be they could add it later on.
Okay.
they said they might do client leaderboards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Client leaderboards, like locally.
I haven't heard that yet.
Wow.
Clan.
Clan.
Yeah,
I
King
thought
said that.
client. I'm sorry. Oh yeah. Clan leaderboards. Yeah, that's actually good enough for me. I'm actually. Yeah,
That'd be fine because you can make an SSF claim.
Yes, that's actually fine. Yeah, that's.
work.
I never thought about
Caps
this
would
one.
be important then for clans, because right now our cap is bad in Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was caps, then it would make sense because then you balance it around the number of people you have.
So isn't just a non-capped clan essentially just a community on steroids?
Yes.
Right.
So it'd have to be caps. So now I would want caps. Somehow they made me want caps now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was okay. So okay. there's
Actually,
no-
just following on that tail too, I wonder if there'll be restrictions on clans or at least jumping clans. Because if there's going to be clan stashes, then you'd be able to say, "Oh, let me cherry pick from this one.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I jumped in this clan, grab these items." Like there might have to be some sort of cooldown maybe on.
And there'll be a real world market of pay X to get into our trade client.
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't even think about those implications.
So another thing that I really dislike, so I'm not really adding to that point, but adding another one, issues about clans is the in-clan trading. That will probably be possible as it looks like with the tab. As long as like for the useless stuff or partially useful stuff, I'm okay with that one. But I really feel the moment where it's like some guy says, all right, I'm gonna go to vacation for 2 weeks, and then it's like, all right, enjoy your vacation. Day one, he's gone, empty spot.
Yeah.
And then like, who's playing a lot? +1. We are looking for another clanmate. So I feel like a clan spot can be a resource for a community to get more drops or get good drops. And when somebody is knowingly not playing for the next 2 weeks, it feels like that guy's that spot is being wasted and he's just being removed.
But let me devil's advocate
yeah.
because think about we're going to talk about PoE, so private leagues, right?
Yep.
You could create a private league and have a bunch of people in it, and there might be people that you created the private league because you wanted people to compete on whatever rule settings you have, right?
Yes.
But not everybody's going to compete like to the max level, right?
True.
You can have people in your clan that won't be as contributive to the clan as you might want, right? They might not be crafting things and putting stuff in your clan bank all the time. So even from that aspect, you might still have people in your clans that aren't ideal clan members. Are you literally going to kick everybody that isn't producing at a certain level? And I guess that might be how you run your clan.
No,
it still doesn't inherently make that aspect of clans bad.
Cigar switch.
Wow.
You're in the middle. You're in the middle.
Stay in this clan.
I'm gonna be honest. I have a lot of gamer pleb friends in real life, and they love mobile games.
Yeah.
And in their mobile games, they're in clans, right? And then they're like, "Hey, Karen, like you haven't farmed this many points this week. Do you know people that play mobile games like that?" So there's like all kinds of games, and there's all kinds of clans, and it almost sounds like that, where like you have to farm X amount of points to contribute for your ranking, and that's
elsewise, if you don't, then you're gone. So
and these games are like
it's
really bad,
not
too.
only the high-end people that have this. It just it encourages elitism.
Okay.
Right. Or there is a way to be elitistic in a reasonable way. Like, be an asshole to a person in a reasonable way. And
I could maybe agree with that.
You showed us that earlier with the picture, the group picture.
What did I do?
With the Reaper guy? That was,
we are not talking. We're not talking about this one. We're not talking about that one. Right. There's a story. Sorry. Maybe like 1 year down the road. If we look, I mean, let's be real. Yeah, it's too. It's definitely a Cards Against Diablo community card by now. Yeah. That will be a card. Yeah. And I'm sorry for that one, but I really got pissed that he just, he or she, whatever, just used us as a stage. Like, okay, just saying. Defending myself.
It's gonna be okay.
I don't think so.
I just thought it was good.
But yeah, thank you for the great.
I think so.
You're happy you invited me now?
Okay, day 2.
Day 2, 8 a.m. Bagel and coffee. Every morning I start my day off.
Oh yeah, by the way, where are you guys staying? You're staying at the Hilton, right? Yeah. Also at the Hilton?
Also at the Hilton.
Marriott? Hilton?
One of the inns nearby.
All right, right. So how's the breakfast? Like the breakfast buffet, how is it?
I just been tea, honey, and lemon. That's it every morning.
Really?
Yeah. You can hear my voice, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not used to talking like louder than this, I guess. So.
Is it really just because you've been talking louder?
Yeah, so it's just so loud everywhere you go. You have to scream.
Right.
I'm not used to it, I guess. Sad story.
So breakfast?
I haven't eaten breakfast in the. I was just gonna say I haven't eaten breakfast. I haven't eaten breakfast in the hotel at all. I didn't even know there was one.
Wow, you guys. It's actually impressive.
You min-max your breakfast. You got like the continental. Yeah.
I've been using it this year as a another way to make sure I meet with certain people. So I'll just say like, hey, if you're gonna get
it's actually
up,
pretty smart.
Yeah, because it's so hard to connect with every single person you want to hang out with.
For you, it must be like really crazy. Like I feel for me, it already gets crazy because I've gotten to know so many people over different events.
Sure.
I always run into people. And it's like, let me quickly go to the media room, eat something. Yeah.
Quickly. You don't do anything quickly.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen, right?
Because you run into.
So for you, like, how many BlizzCons does it have been for you? Like,
this is my 5th one. I think.
5th, yeah. Wow. And then we have 9 Bowl, like 11.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
And walking with him is exactly that. He's like, oh, I haven't seen this person yet.
Did you walk with Rhykker like at all?
Oh, a couple times.
Yeah, dude. We were just trying to make it from here to the streaming stations, and on the way, so we are kind of on a schedule to get ready for the stream. And I think we got stopped like 5 times, on average.
On the average of 1 sample?
On the average of 1 sample, which according to PTR testing is more than enough to complain on the feedback forums. I know that because I've seen those posts, and they are geniuses.
Goodness.
So yeah, as a Diablo tester, I can tell you it's good enough. It's good enough. All right, and system panels. System panel. Is there anything? I think I talked with you about like issues that we see, right? Is there anything right now that you would say you're unhappy with, or that you would say as a direct feedback, please change that one?
With D4?
Yes, D4.
Oh man, the fact that they're gonna balance PvE and PvP together is super concerning.
Okay.
Very few people get that right, companies, games, and we might see some PvE nerfs. But it's good news for the PvP players because they're gonna get a lot of love.
What is more important to you?
PvE.
Okay.
And yeah.
What about you, Livy?
And as like that actual question, or just in general?
No, yeah.
I've never been a big PvP person,
oh,
but
then I meant in general.
No, well, I actually want to answer it though.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Because the thing is, I am a competitive person. Though,
You are.
So if that is the only means of being competitive in D4, then I think I would have to pay attention to it, because I don't know. There's something to be said about having a reason to use your gear beyond just farming. Like I don't think I would play D3 for forever if all I was doing was farming just to farm. Like the motivation for me at the end of the day is to make sure I'm preparing myself to push the leaderboard to like protect, being top 3 or whatever my aim is for that particular season. So if PvP is the only expression of that sort of mindset, then I guess I would have to care about it, even though it's never been a priority for me in any other game I've played.
All right, so if I understand you correctly, it's like you don't like the concept of farming for the sake of farming faster afterwards.
Yes.
But it just gives you like a different like goal to look up into. Like I'm gonna be like the best PvP something here, and so you farm to hit that target.
It's a means to an end.
Yeah, it means to an end, exactly. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Like it can be a real good goal that keeps you going, right?
Right.
I didn't see it like that yet. Like I really didn't.
I also just like completely sort of related. I want to know if hardcore PvP is actually you'll kill each other. Because there could be some sick.
Confirmed. I think it's confirmed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What?
I read it on Twitter. Someone said that it's confirmed.
Yes.
I
read it on
find
Twitter.
There's gonna be some.
It was
sick
somebody from the
throwdowns.
community said it.
Wow. I mean, people were like, wow.
So
I hope so.
Also, random hostile, and then I mean, it can lead to like insanely maximizing grief, right?
No.
I mean, it's still early alpha. So.
It sounds
Or
like if
whatever.
you don't want a PvP, you can't be forced into it. That's my understanding.
Oh, okay.
Like there are PvP zones, and
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
you have to opt in.
Okay, so you can't be randomly killed because you group with somebody. Okay. At the current stage.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
Unless your friend turns on you or something.
We were supposed to be friends.
You're supposed to be the chosen one. yeah, I get it. So, what about you, Deadset? Like, oh no, you didn't actually set the in general thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Question.
so okay, so then
One thing, feedback. What would you say? Change that one.
I mean, they're not gonna go back on the SSF thing because it does feel like they are very much pushing like community aspects, like global player interaction aspects. And I guess I'm fine with it if there is the like clan workaround, if you want to call it that. But I would say the only other thing would, and we don't, and it's the kind of thing that can't really be answered yet, but I'm worried about itemization because it's such an important part of the game, and the way that they were making it sound is that so many of our builds that we're putting together are just going to be like these combinations of legendaries. But I'm fearful for that in conjunction with the other systems. Like I want to make sure that everything is important. So like my talent choices matter, the skills I'm choosing to level up matter, and then also in conjunction with that, the legendaries that I'm choosing for powers matter. And I hope that it's not like there will be a one-all or end-all be-all in terms of like you want to do teleport, you only do it this way, right? Like I hope the game is deep enough where if I want to do teleport and it like has like this AoE aspect to it, but then I can somehow add in a single target thing, that's fine. If I want to do the reverse, like that might require different items. So my whole like premise is that I want the items to matter. But same thing with PvP, right? Like if am I going to be a PvPer, that's a whole new set of gear that I might have for that. If I'm going to mainly be doing PvE, it's a whole different set of gear. I just want us to be finding as many items and caring about as many items as possible.
It seems like, so like following up on that one, items mattering more. Like I guess would you also say that you're happy that legendaries matter more now in comparison to
for sets? Oh, for sure.
So that's one thing.
Sure.
Just quickly catching up chat here. In the group interview, we actually had that question about like the power of sets and the power of legendaries. And as you guys know, in D3, like most of the time, the 6P sets, they really define what you do, right? It's like, I think Joey said it, or he made a very good point where in D4, right now, it feels like you're forced into playing something because it's the strongest and you have to play those skills, right? Like LOD is kind of countering that one, but LOD is fairly new, like Legacy of Dreams, right? And in D4, actually, sets are designed to be a beginner's choice, right? It's like it essentially tells you what to do, what to play, and it kind of like describing the mechanics, it tells you what to do and how to play it, right? And at some point you will always start with like sets, it will be like your initial power, but you will outgrow sets. In the long run, the strongest way to play a build, or your idea, will not be with a set, but with a large combination of legendaries, and that is the goal, right? So you will outgrow sets at some point, and that is like the design goal at least. So how do you guys feel about that one? Like when I heard that one, I was super hyped because nowadays I do agree with the conceptual issues of sets, that it forces you into something that you might not want to. I think the 2 new sets in D3 are kind of expressive of that one. At least the monk one, that's how I feel.
Way more interesting when your gloves do something versus they just complete something. Like all these things just to give you a bonus, where every single item is interesting and matters.
Yeah,
it's just like way better. And I like that sets are still in the game because it does add some certain flavor. Like a weapon set is kind of like you can put lore behind it. like the Bullcathos weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of it actually also has like tradition in D2 or like Diablo, right? With
Tarasha in
sets.
D2.
Tarasha.
Reasonable number of pieces, right?
Yeah.
And they did refer to sets not completely, at least in today's graph, they were a little more even.
Yeah.
But they did mention sets being kind of a stepping stone towards legendary and mythic, or however they choose to call it, kind of items, which is good. I can see the reason, to have a system that encourages new players to pick up the game and kind of find a play style for them, and then build into something that's a little more customized once they understand the game better. But have a set that kind of propels your character into the end game and gives you some grasp of what your character can do. It's fine. It's fine to have it. But yeah, perhaps they, just like us, realize the need for sets to not be the lockdown essentially of your entire gear. And yeah,
Would you guys actually say so? I wonder, like I heard this quite a lot from like the PoE guys that are here. Essentially, would you say that is something that PoE proved that it works to have a very good ARPG that does not have sets? Because I feel like PoE was like is it the first one that actually had no sets at all?
Most successful.
Most successful. All right. So, how would you guys feel about if in 2 weeks 4.0 introduced the sets? That would be kind of ironic.
That'd be pretty funny.
That would be pretty funny.
I don't know if you can categorically say that though, because sets were in D2, but they weren't like nearly as impactful.
That is true. That is actually yeah, right.
So it looks like it'll be the same thing. Like they'll be there, they're decent, but it's not the best way to play.
Yeah, indeed. But we had some ridiculously impactful rune words in D2, and I don't want to say those were kind of OP, but they were. So I don't want to say that the current ones are kind of underwhelming. At least to me, they are. I'm not sure. Like once again, me and Rhykker already talked about this about rune words. How do you guys feel about rune words right now? Like, if you look at rune words, like, well, so we only have two. One is like the conditional one. The other one is the effect one, right? The condition activates and triggers the effect one. Yeah. And it's kind of like for the PoE guys in here, it's like cast when cast when X. Y happens, which is the other gem. So it feels like it's like always a two-link of a trigger gem with a ability gem. That's how I feel right now.
So I feel like it's too early to have any strong conviction on runes because I would like to see more options, right? I would want to see in a 3-socket scenario.
There's no 3 sockets.
Is that confirmed?
It's always 2 sockets.
Is that confirmed? That was what it was in the demo.
I took a screenshot of the runes. There's some other ones.
yeah.
So when active, you gain a 500 damage.
Yeah, there's
barrier.
always like different effect one.
Yeah. You said there's only 2, but you mean like just like the active like effect one?
Yeah, you always have like a cast on X and then do Y, right? And you always combine those two.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what I'm wondering though. I'm wondering if like there is a 3-socket situation, for instance, can I have trigger 2 conditions?
No, I believe there is always, at least so far as we know, to the current point, it's only 2.
But where are you getting that from?
Yeah.
Just the demo where there's one drop?
No, I'm pretty sure that it was stated somewhere.
Really?
But that is...
I think David Kim did mention that for now they just have the 2.
Okay, then that might have been it.
Okay.
All right.
If that
could be wrong.
But you're right. Like, for instance, something like on trigger and then 2 effects, sure. I mean, how would like 2 trigger 1 effect work? Is it like OR?
Well,
like if
it would
one
just,
of those just
yeah.
triggers
So you
and
would
then-
have multiple ways to essentially trigger an effect.
Okay.
I think you as a programmer, you just want your if then else, at least, at the very least.
You can trigger one with the dash mechanic. That might be cool.
That actually would be cool. Yeah, because then that would give that a lot more agency too.
But
It's
then,
like a 7th skill in a
but
way.
then it isn't like then you transform a dodge ability into potentially something offensive, and usually, it's like the potion one actually does that one, right?
Yeah.
Like there's actually potion to crit, so my point totally sucks. And it's already disproved within the
I asked him
game.
if there's immunity frame because
Yeah.
I couldn't tell on the demo.
Yeah.
He said there's no immunity frames. They don't plan on it at all.
Oh.
So it's only to get out of
cool.
like frozen before it triggers or like to dodge.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I already like looking out for those frame perfect exploits. I like it.
So absolutely, you have to anticipate where the attack is going. You can't, once it's there, you're locked into it. You're screwed.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyways, so runes in general, I think they're going to be an exciting touch point for like anyone coming back to Diablo because they're such a popular mechanic from
Very
D2.
iconic,
Yeah, like anytime they said rune words, there was always an audible cheer from the crowd, right? So it's like such a winning phrase.
Oh,
that they can
definitely,
use.
right.
I think like this take on it is going to be interesting. I almost wonder if the general public doesn't even understand that that's how it works yet, because it is a bit of a departure.
Yeah, it is not. It is really not rune words in a traditional sense, right?
Right.
They could have just named it like, yeah, they could have just named it differently. And I feel that the same thing. Like I'm driving a bit off topic here. Does anybody want to say something about rune words still? I don't want to like take it just away. All right. There's the same thing with crushing blow. You know, remember on my stream when we saw crushing blow, and we're like, what? Because crushing blow, pretty kick-ass in D2, right? And it got removed from Diablo 3 better of Reaper of Souls.
Yeah,
It's like it got immediately removed because we
Furnace power, right?
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so I talked with one of the guys. I'm like, crushing blow, and he's like, yeah, it's actually not crushing blow in the conventional way. And I'm like, what do you mean a conventional way? So why did you call it crushing blow in the first place? He's like, yeah, that might have been not the smartest choice. I'm like, so why did you call it crushing blow? Like, it's a definite term in like D2. It's like, you know,
Like
D2
a
plays.
buzzword. They're like, yeah, that's cool.
It should be also like they have like that's actually new, right? They have like a keyword system now, where, you know, you gain, you know, unstoppable, you gain vulnerability and so on. And it's not on crushing blow, but they still use the term. And it's not the same crushing blow, apparently.
Did he elaborate?
No, he said maybe tomorrow, and then if you really want to know, ask it.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
On Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so we'll have to see what happens to crushing blow and Crusade. Right now it's a druid only thing, right? We've only seen it on druids.
I guess that's
yeah, but we don't know if there are like items with it or something. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. But crushing blow is definitely a concern, at least to me. To me, it's a concern because I remember what happened in the free Reaper of Souls beta, and well, that was pretty boring. Pretty boring what happened.
Sure.
There's a good reason why it got removed. So
there are better ways to do damage.
yes,
Or more intriguing,
Yes.
more interesting ones.
yeah, exactly. All right, and then systems panel. After rune words, what did we have?
Man, it was rapid fire, a lot of stuff. We did PvP, and then we did runes,
Yeah.
and then we talked about the myth. What do you guys think about the mythics being four legendary affixes on one item?
Oh, true. We haven't talked about this at all, right? So, yeah, you want to take it away?
Sure. So, actually, I need to hold. I don't know. Let's hold hands. So,
yeah. It's totally not weird. Let's do it though. Let's do it all.
I
No,
was messing with
too bad.
you. They did introduce a new tier today. All we had known about prior to that was that there would be magic, rare. I guess are there normal items? Do we see that?
I think it's
Yeah.
white and then
So white, blue, yellow, and then we knew legendaries. We knew sets, but we hadn't heard of this mythic thing until today. And there was actually a slide on one of the panels, a slide within the panel that showed a mythic item, and it had 4 legendary fixes,
Yeah.
which is pretty nutty. The way I was understanding it, though, he said it was unique equipped, so you can only have one on your character at any time, right?
Oh, that's what he means with unique equipped.
Yes.
Oh.
so strong.
Yes.
So you can have one mythic item equipped.
Which is good because
And it gives you 4.
Exactly. Like now you're looking for 10 of those, right?
Okay. I mean, yeah.
One quick add-on is I thought at first it was weird that we had such fewer slots because there's no shoulders, there's no
It's
belts,
exactly what I
there's
wanted
no
to
bracer.
want to say right now.
Okay.
Like because we only have 9 slots.
Yeah, or
Right?
10.
10?
Yeah, main hand, offhand, pants, boots, chest. I stopped counting. I don't know. Helm. Gloves.
Weird answer to that from David Kim. I asked about the shoulder slot specifically, and he answered on a completely non-gameplay related level, just that like, well, you know, we want like your chest piece to look, you know, visually match. Like we want, you know, barbarians to look like at the end game without having shoulders.
I want like 2 shoulders, a left and a right.
Was a
I want more stuff.
bizarre- yeah, like I get it, but
Yeah.
I didn't notice. You know, what about the belt? You know, what,
Yeah, and even if you look at the druid model, he has like a gigantic belt. But it's just, he has that, but you can't see it or you can't interact with it. You're not changing that belt. It's it's kind of peculiar. And I wonder though if it is just like the way they're designing with this whole like legendaries being the thing that are going to modify the way you play your build. They just want a limitation on the amount that we'll be able to interact with at any given point. But then this Mythic thing is interesting because now you're essentially giving 3 slots for free.
That's true. So if we have 10 slots plus 3, it's 13. That's exactly
we're
what
back
we
to
have.
D3.
Yeah. Now we're back to D3. That's not a good thing.
But Barb has the 2 extra too.
Yeah, I was wondering. Like, I actually didn't realize until today.
Yeah,
Deadset said that.
Yeah, until today, that Barb actually has 2 additional weapons equipped.
So
I thought
crazy.
you would swap between them. With,
Yeah.
like, you know, he has the option to swap. But no, he gets 2 more items equipped.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty OP.
I will probably play Barb at the beginning just because of that reason.
Min-max that.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I asked him. He said, "Yeah, you get all 4 legendary powers at this. Like they're all."
oh, that's
active.
actually so.
Yeah.
So the offhand is like not deactivated. Like, I guess there's no offhand.
No,
but-
no. Like let's say you have like 4 weapons, and you know you get all 4 weapon effects. Like they're active all the time. And in the future, he said he's going to make it so you can
So
pick.
who's
what,
he here? Like
The lead game designer.
the
guy.
lead game. So
Yeah.
Joey Shelley. All right, yeah.
Shelly. Yeah, I was talking to him, and he said in the future he's gonna have it so you can specifically pick what on hit item you want to use. Because like, how would you know like if you want to stun on hit? So you can like set it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it
Okay.
adds more depth and stuff. So like if you have like a stun build or a freeze build or something.
So what you're saying is like you choose the primary weapon that you hit with essentially. Like right now, for instance, in D3,
Yeah.
if you're dual wielding, you're oscillating on most skills, right?
Yeah.
Not on all of them, but on most skills you do oscillate. Like so, let's say 98% of the skills.
Yep.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I was like, well, that adds more depth and all that stuff.
Did you also ask? So does that mean like that the offhand can be like weapon range off rolls? Like you don't
I
need
didn't
weapon.
ask him
So
that, no.
so like that always leads to the issue of like having like the other things being like a stat stick. Like you have weapons that are just like a a different item, just a stat stick. They do nothing but just provide you with some bony.
But it would probably go toward, because like when you do frenzy, you pull out 2 weapons. So then that would probably go toward your frenzy damage, but not your on hit effect. It would just be like whatever you set it. So it would still matter.
Okay.
Speaking of stat sticks, though, I mean, if the barb just gets more items,
Yeah.
how is it not more powerful by
Exactly.
default?
That's why I would play Bob at the beginning because
Weaker items, weaker legendaries. Like that's the.
I mean,
obvious-
that's probably not something that they would say, right? But it makes sense, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the only way to really contain it.
Until the end game, is that it?
I mean,
Would they balance it that way?
so let's be like when we let's assume the start is next week and we start playing next week, right? With the build that we saw, right? And at the very beginning, when you're extremely clueless and you know nothing about mechanics, how things work, right? You'd probably just try to stack up on as many legendary effects as possible that will somehow benefit you. And having 2 additional slots is probably more powerful at the beginning than having a better build idea, right? Because there is no idea of a build. You'll just randomly test stuff, and it's probably easier to do it with 2 additional legendary slots. So I would say like initial progression is faster, and at some point if you find something that actually works good, you can actually say, well, I guess I don't need the 2 weapon offense anymore, right? And those are like those effects, they don't scale me right now. So at some point they might become useless, but till then they could really help you. And it's probably I would probably start Bob just for that reason right now.
This is slightly silly, and I feel stupid for not checking it because I just thought about it. But since he has the 2-hander slots and he has the 1-hander slots, are we sure that he's just not getting at any given time only the bonuses from the items that he last attacked with? Because the others 2 might just be sitting there, not providing any bonuses.
It should be whatever the weapon scales off whatever weapon you have. That's what I was told, but you know.
All right,
We have to test it. That's where we come in.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
where we come in.
Yeah, sure. All right, but it's good info, man. So when
with the weapon that he last used, right? What if that's the one that's providing the bonus? I don't know.
Maybe it would be a very
Makes
similar
sense.
thing to Druid in a way, right? Like the
Sure,
last form that you transformed into is the form that you're getting all
True.
your like traits off of and talents and
True.
whatnot.
That's
So
good. That's a good point. Yeah. It's actually a good point.
it definitely was something to investigate a bit more though, because there seems like a lot of potential for the Barb to just like be the de facto choice.
Yeah, the de facto choice. It's
That's
already
such
been a
an
very
obvious thing, though. They
Yeah,
can't
that's
have missed
and
it,
that
right?
and that's the thing. Yeah,
They can't have missed it.
it's
Come on.
clearly so different.
In the game, there could be like a pet class introduced, and then the pet does the tanking, and
Yeah, that's the next thing. Like
You know?
we talk, like there is no Summoner type. Like who is the Summoner
it's
right
got to
now?
be Necro, man. It's
gotta be Necro, right?
I
Like-
think that's the best, safest bet.
Yes.
So
Oh,
who gets cut? Who gets cut?
Who gets cut?
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you say it's actually like, I would say right now Necro and a bow class.
So no Crusader or Paladin.
No Holy Warrior?
No holy. I mean, we gotta cut it. I'm sorry, yeah. You're right. But
the Druid has those summons, you know? The Wolves and the Ravens, yo.
Is it good enough?
But we're trying to make a dark game, and holy stuff is pretty bright, you know?
Okay. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So like a holy demon hunter. Holy hunter.
But only if the skills are purple or blue or black.
Yeah.
Did you guys
Dark.
talk about what Nineball said about the
Real
zones?
dark. What's that?
Nineball said something about the zones, that each zone is like a theme, and like the Druid area, and then we got a Druid, and then the Barb area, and then we got a Barb, and then there's gonna be like a Wasteland area, and I guess that's where the Necro's from. Like that.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was like, I think his guess was we're getting the Necro, and maybe the Demon Hunter, or the Wizard, because it's like Keldiem, I think, area, and those are the two classes that come from that area.
Mage Clan Wars from Kyrgyzstan, yeah.
Are they Kyrgyzstan? Yeah.
Wow.
So then it wouldn't.
That I see in this theory, and that is the barbarian doesn't come from those mountains. He comes from the mountains on the other side, but
I don't know all the details, but you know, he's usually the guy. For
We'd
the
actually,
lore.
actually need 9 ball right now here, like, you know.
Yeah.
But if we do go on that theory, then I feel that they would in no way have both a sorceress and a wizard. So
I agree.
then you would have. To
I
say,
wouldn't
like,
know
two
what to
different
play. Like,
He said
do I get
that,
2 computers and then?
He said that it's it could be Demon Hunter also is from that area loosely.
Right.
So,
choices.
and then there's an artwork for the DH on the floor, like
There's an artwork?
kind of like an artwork on the.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
The assassins also came from Kyrgyzstan because the assassins were mage hunters.
The assassins were mage hunters?
Yeah, they were founded as an order of.
that's their point.
I think that's why you want assassins, right?
I think I like it. Yep.
I like
We
it.
need a
Good
fast attacking
fantasy.
Class. Like we need a fast class, so
Oh,
that would be
Wait,
good.
what was the swamp place then? Witch Doctor.
Yeah.
Crusaders came from there.
Yeah, the swamp place.
Yeah, their order was, I think very near to Witch Doctors is deep in the jungles of whatchamacallit.
If it's assassin, you get the credit for that. That's good.
Oh, I'm
That's
actually
like
impressed
on
you
the
guys know all
tournament
that
too.
shit. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
I can't remember.
I'm like loosely on lore, so.
Oh, it's, Jesus.
That's further south. Like they're not there. The Crusaders. I'm pretty sure.
Did you guys actually attend the law panel?
Yeah.
You did.
Oh yeah.
I caught the end of it because I was coming off stream.
Wow, and I could have gone, but I didn't. So I have no excuse. I have no excuse. So
No, I honestly I was talking to people and I barely looked up. Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it after.
Yeah.
But
They
from
have
the
virtual
lore-
ticket.
From the lore panel, I was really impressed because you finally see the comparison, like how much ground did D2 cover, how much ground did D3 cover, then you see the whole area of the D4 covers. That's so much more ground.
So
to
would
cover
you actually
compared to
recommend
previous
the lore
games.
panel?
Well, at least just to see that juxtaposition of the older games, and boom, you have half a continent in the new game.
Alright.
And then you kind of think, maybe the rest of the continent is coming in.
I might take a look at the.
David Kim strongly suggested that with expansions we'll probably get more areas.
You see that like island to the west? It's just like peculiar right there. Did you see that?
Yeah.
On the map, when you open up the map, there's just like a little island just sitting there with nothing. It's
With
all grayed out.
nothing. It's got some expansion potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DLC.
Alright. And after the law panel, what was the? Was it actually the 4 p.m. panel? Like when 4 p.m. ended? Was it the law panel?
There was an art panel.
okay.
I
Did you
missed
guys-
it. I missed it.
Okay. You played the demo, I guess, right? At that point, yeah, I guess. Yeah. Did you
And I
guys go
talked
to
to
that one?
Oh, nice.
All right, we were taking the community photo.
Yeah.
True.
Have you guys talked about the Diablo experience yet?
The Diablo experience, I wasn't there, so
Okay. So that was what I did after the community photo.
Mhm.
I got in queue for that, and
yeah, I went down to. Did you play D3?
no, I had not.
You play D3, anyone?
Yeah, I did.
You did? You did?
No.
D1, D2, alternate? Did you actually go down there? There's also D1 and D2.
Yeah, sure, but is it still open?
No.
Why are you telling me to go down there? Then?
My,
Just kick the door in, man. Jesus.
if you really want
Figure
to,
it
it's
out.
open. Yeah. If you really want
If
to.
I really try,
Yeah.
it will be open.
Yeah.
Sure.
That will be your last BlizzCon then, though.
How was the PTR?
So I actually didn't play, but I talked to the guys. So I went down there to actually just talk to the guys.
Sure.
There were like, if you looked at the queue for D1 and D2, there were actually a lot of people queuing, and then you looked at the queue of D3, which was you could go through and just play.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
To be.
That is true.
It was just like like PS4 or something. So
Oh.
I don't think anybody knew the patch was on it because it's just like a weird. Like, I don't think we've ever had a patch on console before. So
Yeah, true. That's actually.
So how did they handle the new sets situation? What was the just pre-made characters?
All right, so we already talked about this one. So quick wrap up
Sorry.
is the following one. Monk set, 4-piece damage mitigation now.
Okay.
6-piece, very very good idea. Added a 0.
Very good idea. What?
They added a 0.
Ah.
More damage, more deeps, right? And then Crusader, 2-piece is actually a new mechanic and a separate multiplier in there.
Okay.
Right, they have like a 300% multiplicative multiplier now in there. And the 6-piece, they J. Wilsoned it. It's just doubled.
Crusader, you cast Fist of Heavens like 3 times.
Okay,
And it
yeah.
stacks 3 times, and then you cast Heaven's Fury, and then you get like a bonus from that.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
like 1, 2, 3, boom. So it's like a little bit of a rotation versus just spamming.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does
Okay.
sound a little more interesting.
So those are large numbers, right? Very large numbers. But at least there's no server crippling instance anymore. So I guess that's good. Darklight actually has like a, what is it, like 1,000%?
1,000% multiplier.
1,000%. That's like, you know, as D3 as it gets, right?
yeah.
And then we have Lamentation, which got its multiplier removed. So Rent Barb actually gets a nerf of like 3.5 for tiers, which makes red runs stronger essentially, right? In relation, red runs become stronger. So Ver XP is nerfed, Rent Barb is nerfed, which means, you know, if you like reds, I have some news for you. Pretty good news. If you don't like reds, not so good. And then there's another info. Bazooka.
Single-handedly killed.
Bazooka.
Yeah.
I mean, Bazooka's gone, so that's a confirmation. You'll not be able to play Bazooka with a new patch. The way they fixed it is that once you click Archon, your Edge Schedule and Death Wish will debuff. Alright, so if you play normal Star Pact, you can still play normal Star Pact, but that might be something that is being looked into for the next patch, depending on community feedback. Right? So if you still want to play Star Pact, speak out for it. If you want to have Edge Sigil and Death Wish nerfed in a different way, so there's a reasonable way to do it would be to give both items a ramp up over 5 seconds. Right? So you can't do Star Pact and then cast, and then, right, so you get the multiplier, which is how it is right now. So you'd have to at least channel for 5 seconds, and, you know, which leaves, like, the normal channeling build intact, right? There's no collateral damage on that end. But classic Star Pact, the way that we know it, would be gone entirely. It means we are looking out for, you know, the community would look out for an entirely new trash killer to take the job. That is what the community wants. Speak out, go to the PTR forums, I don't know, like, let them know. They are reading for that stuff. If you don't want it, if you want to stick with Lone Star Pact, then speak out and go for it. But
the PTR forums are closed though.
yeah, not the PTR forums and general discussion, or
Yeah.
find a way to
Spam them on.
Why does
Yes.
SVR keep sending people to close things?
Take your comments, throw them in the garbage.
Suggestion box
like,
right there.
do you know, like, do you know, like, all those, like, prison, like, movies or TV series when the prisoner is like, but here's my complaint, and then usually, like, the guard says, like, yeah, drop it in my wish box, and he points, like, at the toilet, right? Like, that's, you know, if you have a complaint, guys, drop it in my wish box, yeah.
So are you happy about Bazooka?
Am I happy about the Bazooka nerf? Yes.
You created it too.
Yeah, I created Bazooka. So usually, like, I mean, so the way one of the devs said it is like, so he asked the same thing, right? Are you like angry or you know? I'll say I'm always looking at, so when I think about the game, I'm always trying to think about like the greater good of the community. And personally, I like Bazooka. I'm a big fan of the build. It comes with a lot of issues, obviously, on how people decide to play it, right? So I disagree with that one. So that is an issue, and I think for the greater good of the community, it's good that it's dying. We had it since January this year, right? Since then we have been playing Bazooka, and it sped up the game by quite a lot. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it going down, and I'm an advocate.
That's how you should explain the Barb nerfs, by saying they nerfed the hell out of Bazooka. It's dead. Oh yeah, and then Barb got nerfed.
So yes, yeah.
That's how it should go.
Yeah, really?
And that might help. Yeah.
Okay.
That might help.
I mean, no. I get it. So you know, to make it easier as a user, I guess. But I heavily disagree with the Barb nerf. And I spoke up for a different class yesterday, which I usually don't do. No, I do. But I'm really against the Barb nerf. I don't think that should happen.
It used to have a 400 or 200.
It used to be, I think it's 300 or 250. I can't recall. Maybe Chet will know.
Maybe
Chet,
they just give us like 100 or something. And
no,
meet
it's
them in the middle.
0 right now.
Maybe we can go back up to 100 or something. Yeah.
Sure.
I asked about the turnaround because in the past it used to take 30 days to submit the patch or whatever, and he said the turnaround is like up to like 24 to 48 hours now. Oh. I guess they have a better relationship with Nintendo, and it's just like before they had to get it approved.
Oh, you mean for consoles, huh?
Yeah, so they couldn't just put it on PC and then not put it on console.
Right.
Okay.
So if you know, we tell them what we want at any point before the season goes live, it could potentially change back. So.
All right. So there was like a quick
detour
to a D3 and D3 balance.
Like a D-Thor.
All right, we're done for today. Thanks for tuning in. I had a good time at BlizzCon. We're done. Pack it up, boys.
Oh man.
All right. Where were we? We were after like D panel and that panel, and then I think we're done actually.
Stuff,
yeah, I think we're done.
We didn't talk about that was new.
I think we actually covered everything, right? I mean, it's like, I guess for all of us, our favorite moment was probably like opening ceremony for all of us, right? Like the countdown.
Yeah.
Is there anything else like you like? What is your favorite moment of this year's BlizzCon that is not your opening ceremony? Let's go like this. Like, what do we say is your favorite one? Anyway,
This
just
moment right here.
this.
Right
I mean, it's a cool moment.
Yeah. It happened organically. I was walking up.
Yeah.
Right. I came up here to get a snack.
Got kidnapped.
And then
I found you guys.
Yeah.
And now you got 4
Awkward.
snacks.
Wow.
That's what I was trying to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
fourth.
Yeah.
Where's the fourth?
Yeah. Wait, what?
You said 4 snacks. Is he going to help?
Oh no!
No.
1, 2.
Grab a rat.
Can you not count?
I can't count.
He can't count to 4. You don't get to play D4. Oh dang!
No. Yeah. What?
Unfortunate.
Like, if you had to pick like a second
Only
best.
half of us are in frame, so together we form one.
Honestly,
That's
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I was so hyped when they announced D4,
Yeah.
but I was like not even as hyped as you think I would be. As soon as they said isometric, that was even more hyped than D4. I almost was like,
already talked
wow,
about
I'm
it.
feeling
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, this is weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mentioned that earlier when I had to wait for that one sentence where they said isometric classic IRPG, and then I was like,
I was holding my breath till then.
yes, same.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll let that one count. That's a good one.
Okay.
So that was the second best moment. All right. What do you say, Rhykker? Second best moment. I mean, or anyone go first. Like
On the spot.
on the spot. No idea.
I mean, like, even though Rhykker like made the joke, I think moments like this is a bit more of a general answer. But the fact that we have so many of our like Diablo community here, this is the after I think it was my 5th BlizzCon. This is by far the most I've seen people coming from all over.
Oh yeah.
In terms of like invited guests, but even people that paid their own way and stuff. Like, it's a very Diablo year, and it's it's no surprise that Blizzard probably did a good job of trying to get as many people here as possible. I just am really stoked that we can have so many people in the same room that are all going to be this excited for this announcement, right?
That's true.
Because we could go back home and everyone will, go to respective streams and might pop into others and be like, did you see? Did you hear? But just being able to like look over and you're seated right next to like, some of your best friends that you've made through this game or through this franchise, and being able to like secure the future.
Yeah.
There are a couple of people that couldn't make it. Maybe we should mention those. There's like Spontani, Linksaria. Then we also have Topadusky, Zanji, Big Daddy Dan, obviously,
Daddy Dan,
right?
yeah.
So Tony, it would be nice to have.
in the chat.
Yeah, it would be really nice if you'd be right here right now.
As he rubs his, you
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
meant.
Yeah, it's
I
like-
thought that was just a little like,
What? Like I'm touching myself on stream? like right here.
Oh my God.
No, on my
Yeah, no, I
on
thought
my
it was like
lap.
a little like Freudian, like you just
Freudian
heard his
womp.
name and you're like, oh man, wish that Big Daddy dead. I'm like, you need a moment.
Wow,
It's
dude.
getting warm in
Wow.
here.
Like, dude. Like, no. Sitting on my lap.
Yeah, of course.
Being here. No, but we all.
Because that's better.
Yeah, because that's better. Yeah. No.
Wow, so I was actually trying to make like a serious point of Tony, we miss you.
We do.
And it would be nice if you'd be here. Maybe next year. Maybe next year. Or if Gamescom happens.
Oh,
I'd go.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
If everyone goes.
If everyone goes.
That would be actually
But yeah, so
Easy for us.
your second
for once.
most- Thank you.
You guys didn't
Your
sell
second.
Gamescom number.
Coming in?
You didn't sell it to me well. You said it's like Lemmings or something. You said it's so packed.
It's so.
Like it's the most packed convention ever.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's.
Because they don't like have a
I
ticket
mean,
limit. They just sell it to.
So I don't want to like. So no.
Yeah.
Well, so Gamescom.
Gamescom.
There's no reason to like oversell it. Gamescom is actually a terrible convention.
Okay.
That's no. So,
Yeah, you just
guys,
increase
I
your
can't wait
credibility as a journalist. That's
like,
good.
why the heck would I lie to you? It's like you should pay $2,000 to come there, and then you just get trampled alive. Essentially, that's how you feel.
Get 'em. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what is your purpose right now? What
What? Like I'm just being like damn fucking honest
Yeah,
here.
I can tell.
And just
Like-
like BlizzCon, though, you can kind of escape to a media area, so it's not that impossible to.
It's
take a
really
break.
hard to get a media cred though on Gamescom.
It's the easiest. Come on.
Don't go to
Okay.
Gamescom unless you're media.
I'll get you a media badge if you want. Like, that's the easiest.
You just that's not.
No, but is Gamescom a great convention?
If you're just a general fan, fuck no.
Thank you.
There it is. Confirmed.
Thank you. All right. So it's why is it a terrible convention for the normal player?
The biggest queues you'll ever see.
Yes.
Ever.
People everywhere.
Biggest queues you'll ever see. Yeah. Damn. That's crazy.
Like
I think
we
I saw like the Cyberpunk booth.
Yes.
And you saw the Cyberpunk booth.
Yes.
Too. But I've been stalking this for all 3 days just to see what happens. You know.
Yep.
So they had those breakpoints, like you have 2 hours remaining, 3 hours remaining, 4 hours. So they had the 6-hour points, kind of. So wrapping around the booth 6 times and a 6-hour sign, and then there was a queue wrapping 4 more times. And a sign, please don't come to the queue. This is the saddest thing I ever saw.
No. Come on over, dude. You want to come chill? Yeah.
There were people laying down and dying over
Right.
there. It was
come on,
horrifying.
Rhykker, sit down, lay down. I don't know.
There's no game
You gotta get in frame.
ever to exist to be worth that.
So we have the ThaPchild coming in. How you doing, P?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, we're tired. We're tired.
I'm tired too.
Yeah.
What's your what's like your top 2 moments maybe of the convention?
Meeting everybody here again, seeing
Yeah.
the like community. This community's awesome, and then the reveal, man. Like the playing the demo, seeing the game, seeing what we're getting. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Just a quick. So, are there any issues with the stream right now? Can you like, if the video is stuttering, that's the Wi-Fi apparently. But is the sound okay? Can you guys like hear us? That's the most important thing right now. I'm sorry I had to intervene, but
No, you're
apparently
good.
chat was having
You're
some
good.
issues.
Yeah. So I missed your guys' opinions. I'm sure you've already given them all. But what's your number one?
Number one
thing this weekend?
I mean,
The stream.
Diablo 4 announcement, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the opposite.
Compete with that.
Yeah, it's really hard to compete with that one, right? Probably talk about that one for the next 10 years or so.
Favorite playable class for me was Druid.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Is that everybody?
That was Sorceress for me.
Sorcerers, yeah,
I
but
love this like freezing and then dropping
Yeah.
the meteor.
Wow,
It's fun.
it's funny we're all over the board too.
yeah.
What about you, Rhykker?
I'm sorry.
Rhykker wasn't listening.
What's your favorite class?
Favorite
Yes,
class?
I agree with what you said.
Okay. Rhyker's Druid main confirmed.
Druid main.
Druid main confirmed.
Druid, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
I feel like the Druid's probably the most popular. fun.
would say
Just
so.
when I'm talking to people and stuff.
It's
So.
been absent for so long, you know.
I think that's a lot of things, like people
Repressed.
just like missing that sort of playstyle, right?
Yeah,
I think that's why I gravitated to it. It felt so new, you know. So
And that's kind of funny because I usually want to play something that's different, but I felt that the Barb, maybe it was a bit of the familiarity, but I guess it also felt that in terms of performance, it just played the way I wanted to play. Like I felt like I wasn't struggling to make the skills come together. And that could just be because Barb tends to be a bit more of a simplistic playstyle, right?
But also in vanilla, Barb was your most played class, right?
That's true.
So there was like a
Little bit of a connection
Yes,
going back.
yes. Alright, okay,
yeah.
okay,
So I guess
sure.
I hit my nostalgia feels from that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so one thing I definitely want to ask you, because everybody already answered that one, right? But if there's one thing of feedback, like after all that you've seen, one thing of feedback, and there's one thing that you could change, it doesn't matter if you think it's the best for the community, just for you personally at least, what would you just change? Tell them, change the following, please.
that's loaded. I was pretty happy with a lot of things. I don't know, man. Let me think about it for a second.
Alright,
'Cause
sure,
I definitely have some
Yeah,
things, but I don't know if it's my number one.
All right, so let me explain what I said. So for instance, I said rune words. I didn't like that they're like, as it seems right now, supposedly only two-socketed, right? And you have like this, this condition effect thing, which is like cast when from PoE into like triggering something. That's what I didn't like too much, right?
I think I have mine. So, but I don't know if this is how it's going to be in the final product. But I'm afraid that it's going to be very not as deep as I want. It's going to be shallow like D3, and I'm afraid that they're not going to put enough complexity in it for endgame people like us to be happy.
So that was also something that Rhykker said, right? Yeah. And I actually said so. If already Rhykker says it shouldn't be that shallow, then probably is an issue. All right, so nothing against.
Yeah,
Rhykker.
I think the endgame system, but it didn't show us the endgame. So we could all be off.
That was another critique point, right? I'm not sure who said it, but we said that the endgame system that we saw, like the key dungeons, are actually just maps from PoE. That's how it feels, and it's not really an endgame system anymore, really, right? Just something that you have to do. But
I think the cool said that. I think.
Yeah.
I think the cool thing that they did about that, they said that they don't want the same activity to be repeated over and over. So would Rhykker say that too? You're looking at Rhykker.
No.
Was he the opposite? What's the joke I'm missing? Okay.
It's not about you. So
I'm getting set up.
So we'll tell you later at the cocktail what just happened, right? Well, can't really say anything on stream without like crushing a soul.
I think that not having the same thing be repeated. So that to me meant we're not going to make you farm greater rifts for 6 years.
Yeah. To be fair, they said though this is the first in-game system and the only one that you will see at BlizzCon. Like they have multiple endgame systems planned.
Actually, from the group interview yesterday, I think at some point they'd mentioned three endgame systems at least.
Oh.
Don't quote me, I guess, because I'm not 100% sure. But
is it one of those Rhykker analyses where it says multiple is always at least 3 because you looked it up in a dictionary? So it's like one of those implications.
I mean, no.
You literally did that at some point, right? Right, where it's multiple projects, and then you looked up in like some and then multiple starts at 3.
Any excuse on stream to not be playing and doing other things, yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's an honest to God answer.
Honest answer.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I feel like I did hear some indication of the number of 3, 3 end games or at least 3 things that you should be as a end of your journey sort of player be able to rotate through.
All right.
So we only got 1, right? So there's definitely going to be multiple, to use that word, endgame systems, and I think we can judge better when we've seen, I would say, the majority of it.
Yeah.
And that's something I feel that often comes at the end. You should know where your end game is going to be, or the philosophy of it, and that's kind of a little of what we got. But I feel like it's hard to, if the game is really as early as they're trying to say that it is, it's hard for them to also tell us this is exactly what your end game is going to look like too.
Yeah. To slowly get to the end of this, right? And we're not starting over again at day 1 from ThaPchild.
Sure.
Let's talk about like a release date? How far do you feel is the game? What's like your opinion? Where do you feel like, where are we? How long is like a healthy expectation? All we know so far is it's not soon, and it's not even Blizzard soon. So we have confirmation that it might take a significant amount of time.
Yeah.
So in your professional, no memes point of view, how long is it gonna take us to finally have Diablo 4 at home? Or do you like? How do you feel?
I think it'll be 2021.
2021.
Yeah.
Bullshit, kind.
Okay.
There's the one counterpoint to not Blizzard soon. They said for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Xbox One and PS4 are consoles that are at the end of their lifespan. So if they're not just straight up lying, I guess, it can't be that far flung into the future. Like next generation consoles are coming out next holiday season.
Right, so we have 2021. What do you guys feel?
I would say 2 years, but Christmas of 21 seems seems reasonable to me. Yeah.
Rhykker?
So leading up to BlizzCon, I was always thinking the earliest, quickest turnaround we would see would be spring 2021, because that's what they did with Overwatch.
Okay. Yeah.
1.5 years. The fact that they said not even Blizzard soon, I'm afraid we're gonna have to wait longer now. I don't know. I would love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
So what are you saying? It's probably 2022.
Could be.
2023.
So I asked David Kim,
Yes.
and then he's like, I know you didn't say, not even Blizzard soon, but like, 10 years. He's like, hopefully not.
Nice.
Come on.
That's terrifying.
So you're saying there is a chance. All right. Yeah, hopefully not. So come on. I want to really like point the gun on the chest here. Give me a number.
I feel like I gotta reevaluate a bit, but I think that before this they were being pressured. Right? Okay, let's say 2022.
Thank you. That's Rhykker right there. All right, I'll also say 2022.
Okay.
Like, I believe in the Blizzard sticking to timelines when they say we are not sticking to any timelines.
Sorry, SVR.
Yes.
I just want to make a counterpoint to chat. The PS5 has been officially announced. They can absolutely say PS5 at least. Because they're saying that you can't say PS5 and Xbox whatever at an event like this when the
Okay, that's
haven't said it, but one of them at least has.
Yeah, it's been announced.
Sony has come out and said PlayStation 5. So
okay. Taking it up with chat, I don't like it. It's usually a bad idea. But yeah, thanks for like
it's just a
weighing in.
clarification that it's
Okay.
not really a situation that the console makers haven't said the next gen what it is, and Blizzard can't do it. No, they can. At least for PlayStation. I mean, just a thought, and wishful thinking that it's sooner rather than later.
All right.
Give you a spark of hope, a spark of hope.
Okay, so to weigh in, I think that I want to approach it from both angles, where I do feel that they could say we're aiming PC, PS4, Xbox One, and they could pivot if like it does go longer, and they're like, you know what, we'll just keep this. And I guess I don't know. I don't know that I should say that because I don't know the technological difficulties of going from developing for PS4 for a while and then suddenly be like, we're going to go to PS5. But if it's going to take long, then maybe that is how that goes. The one thing I did talk to Wyatt about.
Wyatt.
We all have our little like, hey, I talked to this person and they said
It's
this.
so like connecting and just like keeping each other updated from like where they heard what.
Individual
Like,
conversations.
Yeah, that's really good. Like it's like collective hive mind, right?
Yes.
It's really good. I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm sorry, Wyatt.
So I talked to Wyatt and he said one of the things that Blizzard has keenly learned is that the cadence or the announcement to release of D3 was not the way to do things.
Okay.
And they have shown that they've learned that lesson through all the other games that have come out since. They've been very short announcement to release windows.
Okay.
Short, in terms of like, less than 2 years. Okay. So you have to believe that if they were confident enough to talk and announce D4 this year, that they have the gumption that it's going to come out in at least less than 2 years. So that would leave you at the end of Q4 2021, right? I personally actually think it's going to be 2022.
Oh.
But that would just mean that they've failed to identify that window. And they felt that they were pressured to announce the game earlier than potentially they wanted to
So,
keep with that
so
ethos.
we have 6 people sitting here. We are like kind of equally split, right? We have 3 people saying 2021 and 3 people saying 2022. Sure. So hopefully the truth lies in between somewhere and not hey, David Kim, maybe potentially there's a chance for a 10-year waiting time. So
Watch it come out in 2020. Just like, gotcha.
Say what you thought the second classes were gonna be.
Yeah, we talked about classes quickly. So, all right. So, last moments. BlizzCon ends. Or just ended, right? I think the concert is also over right now.
Yeah,
right?
no more booming
So,
Glitch Mob, Haywire, and some other band I never heard of. Not the Kinks. I heard that. I get someone in the somethings.
Whoever was in town.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Come on in.
Yo, you got a guitar? I got a stage.
I mean, we could have done like the Diablo free community karaoke thingy then.
I'm telling you, that would have been sick.
I'm telling you. Right.
On stage or?
Yeah, sure.
Oh. Would you be?
Me?
Fits in the tantrums.
If it's Nana with 99 Luftballons, then yes.
Actually, now that you put it like that, sure.
Sure. See?
German singing 99 Red.
Yeah.
In German, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So last question is we gotta wait now 1 year to like be together, sit together, make something like this, and enjoy BlizzCon together. So after like a BlizzCon high, usually after the event there's like a BlizzCon low. Missing the people, missing community, having a great time. Like, what is your favorite way to like cool off after an event like this? Like, what do you do to just like the first couple of days? So for me personally, I have like 2 additional days off to clean my clothes, for instance, right? And then just process everything. Like, I still haven't like really realized like the Diablo fee stuff, and I'll probably just sit down and I have 12 hours at the plane flight to actually like reevaluate certain things, which means watching the visual ticket and taking my time at looking at everything very precisely. I'll definitely watch Rhyker's VOD with David Kim. That will happen. It's something that I really want to watch. I was like streaming, and then suddenly like David Kim goes like behind you, right? And then he sits down there, and I'm like, I really don't want to stream right now. I was like /host Rhykker, and then sit there and just watch the stream, like that's what I actually wanted to do at that point. Yeah. It's like exactly. I mean,
just love info, so it's like
Yeah, so that's how I will like cool down and like slowly like decompress, I guess, right?
Okay.
By like slowly watching, like catching up with like a few things from all the content creators and your videos and everything. Like, how do you like to like decompress from such a highly emotional and rough weekend, essentially, a week?
Well, I have some beach days. Oh, not beach days, but like pool days built in, because they still stay here until Tuesday.
Yeah.
So like Sunday, Monday are usually just like be the most relaxed possible, stay vertical as much as possible, like kick the legs up.
Oh, yeah.
But like in terms of the content type stuff, it's always, so one thing I hate is being on my phone at live events, because you want to be like in the moment around the people that you don't get to see very often. But a lot of like being here is also trying to stay connected to find people and things like that. So there's a little bit of that. But just in terms of like, I know I sent a bajillion tweets. So I'm kind of curious like what you guys sent out too, what like some of the fan sites wrote up. Diablo is putting up their own summaries and things like that. So like you do, probably a lot of reading, a lot of viewing content. And then back to like the real world and a little bit of sadness for sure.
A little bit of sadness, right? Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
Same beach day for Blood.
Yeah?
Yeah, I live an hour away, so I'll probably just get home quick, relax.
And
drinks,
that's
football.
luxury.
Yeah.
For me, it's like 27, 28 hours. So
I'll be back Monday streaming. Yeah, so
okay.
I'll be back at it.
I got days built in. Like, I'm staying 2 extra days too.
Oh, yeah.
Just to relax and get back on my feet.
Rhykker?
My ritual is to get sick and feel miserable.
Really? There's actually like this now actually people talk about the BlizzCon flu.
Yeah,
that's actually a term.
Real. I never got it yet, so hopefully.
I mean, you got it like last year, right?
One of the most recent years.
Yeah.
That was down.
So it's like also like a thing for you. Like, are you like the BlizzCon flu essentially?
Low constitution score. I get sick easily, and I get sick.
Constitution. I like
so your way to decompress is just get sick, lie in bed, and there's nothing else you can do anyway. So that's how you decompress.
Get sick and then work while sick.
Wow, that's a beautiful motivational speech by Rhykker right there. That's how you. Oh.
Just cry a lot.
Just like cry like a man.
Yeah, would curl up in a ball and just cry. Nah,
I guess same as Levy. I'll just reflect, see all the content that I missed, because I missed a lot.
Same.
I think I spent the 90% of my time here in the media room just playing the demos over and over. But yeah, I'll spend time recovering from BlizzCon by actually checking out what BlizzCon was. I feel like I haven't seen the majority of it.
Alright.
But it feels good because I had something very, very good to check out in the meantime.
All right. Very last thing. How can people find you? Like, what's your Twitter? What's your Twitch channel? Let's quickly go for it. Let's get started.
Rhykker, R-H-Y-K-K-E-R. Just Google it, I guess.
ThaPchild everywhere.
Bloodshed, B-L-U-D-D-S-H-E-D.
Oh, you all guys have it like all the same everywhere, huh?
Except I don't know.
Yeah.
Thanks for right before. That's Leviathan on Twitter and Leviathan111 on Twitch.
It's Deadset. You can find all my guides on Icy Veins, and of course in Twitter, Deadset Gaming. I promise I'll tweet sometime in the next 10 years. Same as D4.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I am at SVR_90 on Twitch, and on Twitter I'm at SVR90D3. Soon to change, hopefully. I believe so. Maybe, hopefully in the next 10 years. So if you like this stream, leave a follow. You can join my Discord, !Discord. Thanks for an amazing BlizzCon.
Yeah, man.
2019. It was thanks for joining here, like randomly jumping in people. I appreciate it a lot. It was amazing. And you guys, see you next year. Thanks for everything. Goodbye.